have a very I've covered this topic before. I don't know how many spiritualists have covered this topic, but we're going to cover this topic again because I had somebody on one of my older videos, and this comes up from time to time that people start their spiritual journey and they start looking at the spiritual practice of our ancestors, and this subject comes up. So we're going to talk about it again. Let me give people a few moments to get in here. Okay. I'm happy to talk about this subject because it's not a lot written on it. So it's going to come up because it's a mystery to a lot of people. I know it's late. This is an unexpected live stream. Hello, KJ. This is an unexpected live stream. I understand that, and this subject usually come up. Today we're going to talk about Obeah. We're going to talk about Obeah today. Today we're going to talk about Obeah because this comes up because again when you start looking at Obeah too. When I looked at Obeah for myself, because it is a spiritual science, it is not a religion. I even read out there somebody out there said it's a religion. It is not a religion. It very much reminds you of hoodoo. It reminds you a little bit of chaos magic when you're looking at Obeah. But what is Obeah? Because as somebody asked me, they was like, "What book was you reading when you gave a review?" And I talked about Obeah before. And I had a subscriber, YouTube subscriber. Hello, TikTok family. Hello, Fifi. Hello, Tanya. Hello, TikTok family. Hello, YouTube family. Hello, practitioners. Hello, hello, hello. Greetings, gratitudes, and welcome. And you're welcome to jump in here if you know any information about this discussion. Jump in here and give your insight. Hello, Golden Pressure 9. Hello, hello, Azal. If you know anything about this subject, then you're free to jump in here and give your insights and add anything as well. Was an unexpected live stream. Someone jumped in the comments on the YouTube channel, commenting on my own video, and the subscriber even emailed me. Was like, "What book do I need for to find out about Obeah?" All of them. Hello, Tina Williams. Hello, Candy. Hello, Jasmine Azal. Blessedly, Lisa, Nana. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All of them. All of the occult books they've ever written has to be looked at to understand Obeah. And even that, it doesn't scratch the surface of it. I'm telling you right now, it's not just an African tradition, it is a human tradition. It is a pulse that connects the living to the unseen and the song that echoes from the Egypt to Ashanti, from the Hebrew mysticism to the mountains of Jamaica. It is the wisdom of the old ones. It is a ancient primitive magic. And not everybody have access to that. The whisper of the ancestors carried through the bloodlines and dreams of natural law. You talking about someone, and I've talked about this before. Most times people are born with this innately in them. Some people are conscious of this type of power, primitive power that is in them, and some people are not. But this goes back to the first, the first peoples of the planet. This knowledge is really resides with indigenous people. We had ancestors, some of our great mothers and fathers could utter a word and lay somebody on their back. That's Obeah. Remember when they had to cover up our ancestors' mouth because they utter two or three words and they'll lay somebody on their back. So they had to cover their mouth up. That's just how power they conjure was. We had ancestors like that. Okay? You can see that again in Egypt as well. They had this technology, this sacred science of vibration, words, and elements. Okay, we're talking about ancestral priests that could speak to trees. They knew the language of fire and they knew how to heal. Okay? You had some ancestors they had to cover. Remember, they had to cover their mouth because when they opened their mouth, stuff started moving and happening. They was laying people on their back with their words. That is a true thing. That's why you think they outlawed Obeah. They have tried to study it. Every time you go down that road and try to look at Obeah, you're gonna be referred to all the occult books. And even then, when you read the occult books, they're gonna tell you when studying it, you that don't even scratch the surface of what it is. Got to be a matter of fact. There is no book on Obeah. Obeah calls you. You don't go looking for Obeah. Obeah is you. You'll know it. Okay, this is a all ancient spiritual science. They know the mysteries of the elements. These people, they can go out into the woods. That's why you will see most of the Obeah women and men. They live in secluded, solitary in nature. They don't stay among regular people. There is no teacher. You'll be lucky to find a teacher like that. Because a lot of people, the closest thing I can find to it, and I don't think I'm even doing it justice because of how old it is and the knowledge behind it. These people had, you see some of the stuff that the country man Moses did. That and this so-called Jesus, them Obeah people. Maybe the closest thing to it. I don't know nothing close to even my examples is not serving its justice. Okay, we're talking about a very old, ancient, primitive, primordial power and energy that was innately in man. The magic that was already in us. It's in some of us, but we're unconscious of it, and we don't know the rites of passage to even activate it. Some of us. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is that you're going to have to start studying, having a relationship with these spirits and elements. Because Obeah, a priest, he knows the fire spirits. He or she knows the fire spirits. They're friends with fire spirits. They know the plant spirits. These people know stuff. They know how to look beyond the universe. They know. They know. You understand me? They can stand in one spot and make it rain and utter a word, and rain will come down. And I'm not even doing it justice, when I tell you that you have to study all these occult books to find out, to learn more about Obeah. I'm not even scratching the surface of it because it runs that deep. Why you think they outlawed it? They didn't outlaw it because it didn't work. They outlawed it because it worked very good. And they didn't want people getting their hands on that. I started looking into witchcraft, but Obeah, I don't know. I'm telling you. And I'm telling you, they know how to use these natural elements around you. They see things that you can't see. I don't even think Obeah women and men look at the world the way. I don't even think they live in the same reality we live in. And I'm telling you the truth to be able to do the things that they can do. All right. So you're gonna be studying that for a long, long time. Now the best way for you to understand it, you're gonna and even looking at their power, these people again, they stayed away from the population, and I'm thoroughly convinced that these people were always in contact with spirits because of the power and the access they had to things. And you think this is somebody said it's a religion. It is not a religion. You can be in a religion and practice Obeah. The only thing it's gonna do is amplify the religion. That magic ain't gonna do nothing but amplify the religion. Just like you see hoodoo. You could be in a religion and practice hoodoo. Hoodoo ain't gonna do nothing but put magic on their religion. It's gonna amplify it. See, look at somebody said right there in the chat said their ghost says that Obeah man in Jamaica live deep in the bush. See, them people don't even live around. Them people come in contact with fairies. They come in contact with air spirits. They come in contact. They see these spirits face to face. These people don't. I don't even think they live in our reality because of the things they can do. They have broken, cracked the matrix in some kind of way, and they can see the mysteries of what is operating this reality. That's the only way I can explain that to you. And a lot of it is ancestral. It is already in them. It depends on where that bloodline is, that lineage is. But you would have to study all the occult. Many have tried. Don't you think these occult people have tried? They have tried. But when you go to look up Obeah, they're gonna throw all them occult books at you. Because there is no Pacific occult book on Obeah. You can try look for one. I have. Miss Penny, hey, I wasn't expecting you tonight. I wanted to tell you my library got me a copy of Hoodoo Conjuration, Witchcraft and Root Work on a loan from Southern Methodist University. Oh, congratulations. We have that book too in our community, Hoodoo Conjuration, Witchcraft and Root Work book. I think that book was written by what was his name? Harry something, Harry Hyatt or something like that. He wrote that book. Got a thousand some page book. Okay, so again, you could try to study that, but again, that's truly closed information. You think hoodoo closed? That's closed. That you I don't see a way that you can learn that without an elder practically teaching you that, because these people, what I'm understanding, the way the ancestors told me, because I've asked about it. You you don't be around people and learn Obeah. You got to remove yourself totally from people. Again, I don't even think these you get into that, you don't even live in this reality. The requirement is you can't live in this reality. And most of them ain't materialistic or nothing like that. Most of them not wrapped up in money. You cannot be connected to this material world and practice that, because I really believe that they live in a whole different reality, and that is what gives them power to be able to do the things that they do, because they don't live in this reality, so they can change it. They don't even live over here. I'm telling you, you need to watch what you're looking for. Okay. We had some powerful ancestors, and I'm telling you right now, you need to go back and look at your history. They had to cover their mouth. Why was they covering their mouth? Because they knew how to call down power. They could see these energies all around them. They didn't even live in these reality. We have ancestors just like that. They can open their mouth. You got to remember, we perfected this science. And honey, I think if we saw the comedic science in its rawest form, we'll be surprised at what our ancestors was doing with sound and was doing with this knowledge. The Egyptians wrote it down, but I think Obeah is it. That's where a lot of the science came from. Is from there. They tried to write it down, but I don't think they even was even able to put it all on paper because of the complexities of Obeah. Now you might get an elder that can teach you, depending on that elder, because it's not many of them, because they try to get rid of them. You understand me? They try to wipe that out. They didn't want that power up in there. Okay, they want to give you something as weak as possible. That's why they gave you Christianity. But there's power in that Obeah. Okay, and then you ain't gonna find no book on it. I've done it. I've tried. No, I don't practice. The closest thing, like I told you, the closest thing is very ancestral. It's an old ancient magic when man had this special relationship with nature and all around it. He had the mysteries and the keys to control it. It was in when woman, the first cosmic being, they'd had this already in them. It is a primitive magic that was already put in them, and it was passed on to generation. Now you can now the closest thing I see to it, and I don't even think I'm saying doing it justice by saying it, by saying this, you guys, because again, this is incomprehensible information. You understand me? You probably won't even be able to comprehend it because the complexity of it. I don't even think I'm doing it justice by saying it resembles a little bit of hoodoo and it resembles a little bit of chaos magic. Even now, even saying that, I don't even think it do it justice because of the fact that you have to study all these occult books to even comprehend it. And even then, I'm telling you, they're telling you with their map. The occultist is telling you. I'm telling you now because I'm kind of nerdy at this kind of stuff. I read this stuff. And I went down this rabbit hole. Even the occultists, when I'm reading it, they said even the books that you read won't even scratch the surface on what Obeah is. And that's saying a lot there. Greetings, Phoenix. Hey, South Carolina, that's my house state. Whoop, whoop. I also wanted to say that the Water and Spirit by that's a good book too. I've been trying to get my hands on that book of Water and Spirit by Melodoma Somé. He writes some good books too. From my local books, and it was transformative read. I recommend it for anybody interested in ancestor veneration. I've been trying to get my hands on that book too, because he writes some good books. He's very good when it comes to ancestral knowledge. He writes some really good books. Won't stir you wrong. My family is Christian, and I wish I could connect, but no teacher. Okay, the closest thing to Obeah, I think, is hoodoo because Obeah, it understands all the spiritual sciences of any religion. They can pick up any religion and pull the magic out of it or put the magic into it. Okay, they know all the spirit. It's not a spiritual science or religion that Obeah can't practice on the side of it and amplify it. And and just you ask me, because it's primitive and all that, I think that these were ancestors that really knew these fire spirits. They knew the air spirits. They knew the water spirits. They knew they had a relationship with the dirt. They had a relationship with the grass. They knew these little fairies and gnomes and things like that. They knew these because the where they live at, they don't live among people. You see Obeah and women and men, they live in the country somewhere and they are not materialistic. They're not interested. You know, you had to seek them folks out. Them people totally serve spirit. I don't even think they live in this reality. The other part of them is Hindu, which always made more sense to me. As you believe, so it is. And I think that that is with Obeahs too, because because you have to study all religious occult books or all occult books, spiritualism. You will have to study all of that. And so you know you can't study all that. You probably won't be able to comprehend that. You're gonna need an apprentice to sit down with you and help you understand that knowledge. Like you think they outlawed that. Okay? They want to get rid of that real quick like because that was knocking some stuff down. And then you seen people scale back into hoodoo. They really outlawed a lot of our spiritual practices, not because it didn't work, because it absolutely worked. It absolutely worked. They didn't want you doing hoodoo either. Why? Because it absolutely works. Hoodoo is kind of you asked me, and but I still don't think I'm doing it justice. Is a fraction of that because you look at Obeah again. They encompass all the spiritual sciences. It's nothing that they can't pick up and make it move. And this is a magic that's innately already in them. And some of us are conscious of it. Some of us are not. Some of us are walking around with the gene in us, but we don't know how to open it up and access it. Cause and effect. Anything you do, negative or positive energy, always return to you. That's the law. And that's one thing too. When you see them, when you read us, when the stories I've read on them, and you have did something to them, uh you have did something to them and they do something to you, they will actually tell you, I wouldn't be able to do it if the energy if you did that to yourself. They would tell when they do something to you, you do something to them and you offend them and they do some work on you, they will tell you you did it to yourself. What are they saying when they say this? What are they saying? They're saying that you were already carrying that energy. That's just directed it in on you. You already had it with you. They wouldn't have been able to do it had you not been already carrying that energy. So they let you know right off the bat, they know how to work with energy. Okay? So that's the road. You're not going to be able to find too many books. The only way I can see you going into that is your ancestors led you into that the deeper you got into your practice. And most of those people, I don't even understand. Y'all, you think this is a practice. These are lifestyles. These people have to live a whole lifestyle to serve spirits, to not get entangled in this material world. Okay? These people, you meet some yourself, you read a real Obeah priest or a priestess, a woman, a man, these people, they're gonna be unseemly to you. You'll look at them. These are people that you're passing the street. You probably wouldn't think twice about. You'll probably think they're a vagabond or something. But truly, these people are high ranking in the spiritual realm. They, like somebody said, they live in the bush. They live away from people. They don't even live near people. That's why I say I don't even think they're existing in our reality because of the things that they can do. To truly study Obeah, you would need to read every occult, mystical, spiritual text that was ever written, and even then, you would only be scratching the surface because the heart of Obeah cannot be found in books. It lives in spirit communication and in ancestral memory and in your blood. Now, my route with that, I would probably go the ancestors route like I did. But when the ancestors was telling me how much dedication that it took to get, to reach that level, I was like, wow, the stuff so deep you could lose your mind trying to figure it out. Thank you, the chosen one. Ain't lying. That's why you need an ancestor, a living ancestors to relay that to you. You can study it. If you follow your ancestors, they'll probably reveal some things to you. And even then, you're not going to get all of it because you got to win the trust of those spirits. And that's one thing about it. You best believe those Obeah women and men pay a high price for that knowledge. It's certain things they can't do. That's what you got to understand when you get over in the spiritual lifestyle. I know they ain't explaining that to you, but there's certain things you can't do when you working with these spirits. You can't fool no spirit they see straight through you. And a lot of people get over here thinking they finna get a lot of money working with these spirits. These spirits not studying it. They're gonna help you, they're gonna take care of you. But there ain't no guarantee you're gonna be no millionaire. Hindu part of my family is from is that from Africa? I don't know what that is, sweetie. Okay. Even then that's how that's gonna be transmission down. But we did have ancestors that came over here. They already had it in them because their ancestors, it would pass down to them like that. They already knew how to conjure up some fairies. I had an uncle, and I don't know where he got this from, but my mama said that man knew how to go out to the woods and conjure up fairies and stuff. We had ancestors like that. That's what hoodoo is all about. Hoodoo is all about knowing how to work with these elements, with nature. We're diving in deeper with that. That's why we broke down every element to help you understand that each spirit, all these spirits, they are connected with these elements. So you can understand why we're using them in our work and the power behind them, to understand them as spirits and not just elements. But with the Obeah man and woman, I think they understand this to the point they don't see physical reality the way you do. The way we do, they don't see that like that. And why I say this is because when you start tapping into magic, I have to tell everyone in there. I just had a meeting today. That's why it takes you time to really get comfortable in your magic and making hoodoo a way of life. Even a magician would tell you this. They can't live. There's a certain kind of way they can live. They need to live to be able to constantly tap into their magic. There's a frame of mind you got to be in. If your mind is not right and you cannot crack it, you've heard a lot of practitioners. I'm gonna say this again. Any Wiccans in here, anybody that practice magic, they would tell you to tap into that magic. Some of them damn near had to go crazy because you got to break all that other programming and false beliefs. And sometimes you got to crack you got to crack the code in your mind to tap into your magic. And sometimes people damn near go crazy trying to get it because this again, the magic first is born in your mind. So you can't even imagine. I don't even want to, I can't even comprehend what a Obeah woman and man do to be able to do the things that they do. They don't even see reality the way we do, the physical reality. Obeah starts with the ancestors, like all other African spirituality. Like I said, you will have to follow your ancestors straight away to AAR, and even then, your ancestors gonna tell you if you capable or not. Because when they started showing me that, I was like, I'm with hoodoo. I'm gonna stick right over here. You know, is that you have to go in total solitude with those spirits. You have to be in total solitude with those spirits and your ancestors. Most of them folks, they don't come in contact with a lot of people. They're not interested in materialism like you. They're not that don't move them like that. They do a lot of serving these spirits and making pacts with these spirits. What was the another movie I saw? And I think that woman was an Obeah woman. Uh, it was something about the Raggedy Doll or something doll. My sister loved that movie. I don't know if it was called Voodoo Doll or Raggedy Doll or something like that. But in that movie, it was these people. They were trying to become musicians, and this boy's grandmother was an Obeah woman, and honey, she worked with a whole lot of spirits. She knew how to call them up. And see, these Obeah priests, they know how they experts at conjure at root work. They have mastered that. They are beyond that. I think the closest thing you probably could read to is the Picatrix. We talked about the Picatrix in there. There's a lot of knowledge with the Picatrix. You can read some of Agrippa work. I can only point you to occult books to help kind of give you a understanding of it. But even then, again, because our ancestors didn't write down a lot of occult knowledge. We have outside people coming in and writing this stuff. So we know they're not going to get it all right. Okay. And like you, I regret we lost that knowledge and the way they went against it in Jamaica, unaliving some of these people. And they was getting rid of them people. You understand me? A lot of our elders that had that information, they got rid of. And many of the ones that you see today, you have to question, are they really authentic who they are? Because you got a lot of scammers out there claiming to be Obeah men and women, and they are not. Okay, Obeah is mentioned in Meet Joe Black starring Brad Pitt, but it wasn't about Obeah. It's old. It's very, very primitive. And they have tried to study it. Don't you think they tried to study that? They want to crack the code on that, but because they can't because it's ancestral. It's in the lineage. Kind of the way you see hoodoo, how it being passed down is what our mama them told us. They tell you secrets, and you have different. And I'm gonna tell you another example. And I'm probably jumping against the gun here, but we're gonna cover this because we cover everything, every spiritual practice of our ancestors. We try to cover that in our community. because too we have to study this to understand how some of this spiritual how did some of these spiritual concepts and rituals got into hoodoo, so you can understand what you're doing and where it come from. So we study a variety. We got to study Mexican magic, okay? Because that again, that's those Olmecs, those Aztecs that was there on the Americas. Those is our ancestors. The Spaniards and the French came in and did a number on us. Kind of messed up our bloodline and disconnected us. So we look at Mexican magic, we look at Caribbean magic, we look at Jamaican magic, we look at Dominican magic, we look because it happened among diaspora. It doesn't change just because they're in a different place. They still our ancestors. It doesn't change. They still was keeping that magic in their blood. Okay, so when you're looking at our ATRs as too, you're looking at a little bit of Obeah. Okay, you're looking at a little bit of it. But even then, they carried as much as they can and then they broke it down and start practicing it. Can you define what spirit is? Is it like an entity or element? A spirit is a consciousness. It is an energy, is a consciousness. Consciousness is energy. That's a spirit. More time than likely, the spirit is going to affect your mind and emotions. That's why your mind got to be right over, I recommend your mind being right before you even jump in magic, because a lot of these spirits, your ancestors, are going to be telepathically communicating with you. They're going to be clairsentient, communicating with you. You're going to be feeling things. You're going to be sensing things. You're going to be thinking things. Okay? And you have some of these elements of the way they work. They are consciousness, but they also can take on the form in a natural element. I talked about the other day when I talked about my friend was down at that river, and she saw that man in the shape of a waterfall come up out the Arkansas River. That was an undine. There was a spirit in the water that took on the form of water, because took on most solid form it could take on, because it was in this element. It showed itself to her. Okay, you have nature spirits out there too. Like you're not there out there alone. Like you got tree spirits. They said the spirits that rely on trees are dryads. There are guardian spirits that lay in trees that are called dryads, if I'm saying that right. You'll see that among all the cultures, they understood that nature was alive. And so if you're going to tap into Obeah, you have to go back to your most first relationship with Earth itself, the spiritual essence of it, not the physical essence of it. We're going back again, and most of this knowledge is going to be with the primitive people, the so-called primitive people, indigenous people. Like my grandmother, she had some of that not trip me out. Our ancestors just knew how to go out and look at plants and stuff and heal us. Look at George Washington Carver. He had some of that in him because the man could talk to plants. My grandmother, I never knew that. That's why a lot of our spiritual practices closed, because when you start going into indigenous spiritual technology, they have a lot of knowledge about the earth that other people don't know. And people talk about those people that stay in the woods and talking about they savages. No, those are advanced people. They know how to live in harmony with their environment. Don't be calling them primitive because they know how to live outside. I bet if your ass went out there, you wouldn't live, because you wouldn't know what to eat, how to survive. You wouldn't know none of that. And it's a shame that they try to, talk about those people that live in harmony with the land. And here we is living in houses and stuff. And we went out to the woods, we couldn't survive a day. Our ancestors were advanced civilizations. They lived in harmony with nature. They had a relationship with nature. And can't be connected to earth by gardening. That's a good way to do it. That's a fast way to do it. Yes, yep. Nephrite. That's what Nephrite said. You would have okay. That's what that is. Why you think everybody telling you to get into nature? Why do you think all our spiritual practices are nature based? All ATR practices are nature based. You're gonna be seeing us picking up herbs. It's animistic. We either gonna be doing some sacrifices or we're gonna be doing some working with some herbs, some water, some fire. We're gonna be working with those elements. And most of them are gonna be outside with the stuff on the ground. No, notice most of the work we do. And I tell people this: if you can do your work outside on the ground, oh my gosh, you might see it move faster because now you're calling in those elements to help you in your workings. Why you think they're having most of their rituals outside? And now they got you sitting up in the church telling you Jesus is somewhere else. Lord, it's crazy. Why do you think they're doing that? They're trying to disconnect you as much. They did disconnecting you as much as possible and got you sitting in the building. But really, you need to be sitting outside under the sun, under the sky. That's where your power is. So, do they have personality or is it more the instinctual conscious? They all have their own personalities. Water ain't gonna function like fire. I just talked about this yesterday. I advise you go look at my live stream from yesterday. You work with those fire spirits too much, it's going to mess with your temperament and maybe your blood pressure. You're going to find yourself getting angry and impatient if you work too much with them. You work with water spirits, you're going to probably get a little delusional or start seeing things that's illusions. Get balance with all of them. But you see the Obeah, a woman, a man, they knew how to work with these energies and knew how to work with spirits. They knew how to work. They work with all spirits. They know how to conjure up an angel. They know how to conjure up, talk to them, and everything. They know how to conjure up a demon, talk to them, and everything. They know how to evoke it on this plane and talk to spirits. They know how to do that. And they ain't scared either because they know the etiquettes of spirit. Like I said, I don't even think these people live in this realm. That's why they have to be away from society. That's why they separate themselves from people. Most of these people are not materialistic. They didn't get in this. A lot of us get. A lot of us. Not me, because I just try to walk in my purpose. But a lot of people try to get into spirituality for some type of ulterior motive of gain. That is not for the Obeah woman and man. They don't do that. And if they're asking you for some money to do something, I'm telling you right now, it's to pay a spirit. It's to pay a spirit because they will go all out for offerings for these spirits. They would do big spreads, big dinners and stuff for these spirits. They'll set up a whole table with all kinds of food on it and everything for spirits. They would spend $400-$500 on food and feast just for spirits, depending on what that spirit wants. If they asking you for some money, believe me, it's to pay a spirit. It's the price that the spirit wants. You paying. You ain't really paying them. You paying that spirit. That's how they operate. Okay, if they charge you a big hefty price, more than likely the work that they got to do and working with this spirit or whatever it is for the spirit. And I know that that sounds odd. Sound odd to me too. But this is how they work. It depends on who you ask what a demon is, because by some of these people terms, uh, demons are bad, but depending on the demon that you're calling on, their spirit just like anybody else. They are high intelligent beings, but most of them have obsessions. They have their own things that they leave behind. Okay, and you have some of these Obeah men and women. They know how to work with spirits of a plant. They can go out there and talk to a plant spirit and get it to move. Okay, they can conjure with that. But they know, and it appears to me they can work with any system. You even have them working with Nagas, those serpent spirits. They work heavily with serpent spirits. It's just these people, like, I'm not even doing it justice. You know what I'm saying? Even by us having this discussion here, I don't think I'm even doing it justice. I heard someone talk about that. I don't even think I'm doing it justice just by having this conversation with you guys. I don't think I'm even doing it justice because, I mean, can you imagine you standing in front of your mom or dad and they utter one word and somebody they just drop and they're here no more? Or they just, they just what do you call it? Um they just catch on fire. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine it? That your ancestors say something and fire come out the sky and burn somebody up. That's the magic that they had. So you're not gonna be able to understand that until you get with the ancestors or something. Or you get somewhere in solitude and you make a commitment to those spirits. Because believe me, they make a heavy commitment. They make a heavy commitment, and some of us too are entangled in the material world to make that type of commitment to spirit. And it is a way of life. And like I tell everybody to get over here and we start getting into hoodoo and stuff, get your mind right because you can't fool no spirit. It's just you can't do it. You ain't gonna be doing them but playing with yourself and crossing yourself up if that's all that's gonna happen. So keep your heart right. It is a way of life. This ain't nothing we sit up and play with. No, we our whole daily life. Hoodoo is integrated in our daily everyday life. It's certain things we won't do, certain places we won't go. We got to stay clean. We got to take care of ourselves. It is a way of life. Many Obeah workers they live quietly. They live like I tell you, they live away from people. They're peculiar people, very peculiar people. Because they stay to themselves. Most of them they stay to themselves. But when you start to open their mouth and you asking them to do something, you'll see these people magic shift right before your eyes. You're gonna see it right there. You're gonna have to wait. And what is that thing? That I'm telling you, over there in Jamaica, that was a big problem because they was getting some work done over there. You hear me? My ancestors was getting some stuff right. Them folks had to outlaw that. And any book that I found one book on it, but I was so upset with reading the book. I tried to be look at what was going on with Obeah, but the man that wrote the book was so racist. It just pissed me off reading the book because he was so against it. I said I can't even read this book without getting pissed off. The way he was talking about the people that practice it, talking about our ancestors. I said I got to put this book down because this book making me want to go find that man and give him a piece of my mind. Okay. They can't I don't think they want to I don't think candy yams, I don't even think that's what it is. I don't think they want to educate on they probably scared for you. Because what happened to them when they had to practice that, they got rid of a lot of people that had that ancient knowledge in them like that. It was outlawed. We couldn't even carry certain plants and herbs and stuff like that. That was outlawed for us to even carry certain plants and herbs. They did their best. We couldn't even play no damn drums. They didn't want us playing drums. You got to understand what happened to them. That's why I think, too, when we be going to tell our parents and stuff that they practice hoodoo, they get mad at you. Okay? And I don't think they mean to do that. I think it's a trauma response. I think they get scared. They're not now that you're accusing them of stuff. Again, I think it's a trauma response because that's happened to them so much. And that's what I was telling somebody the other day. Don't accuse them. Don't tell them they doing hoodoo. Ask them what they doing. Explain that to you. You know it's hoodoo. Don't tell them that because they might get mad at you. Okay? Don't tell them that they doing hoodoo because they're gonna get mad at you. And I think they disconnected it some kind of way when they hid up under Christianity. And I don't know if our ancestors were just trying to protect them and not tell them that that's what it was. I don't know because so much is going on with us. That's just like our ancestors told we was Indian in the privacy of our home. And the first time we told somebody we was Indian, laughed. But our ancestors didn't lie. They had to tell you who you was. So I think the same thing with hoodoo. It just hid so well, and they hid it well. They showed it to us, but they didn't tell us what it was. Now that we grown up, we look at it with damn. They was teaching us hoodoo, but you bet not tell them that's what they was teaching you because that's not what that is. They gonna get mad at you. Don't tell them because I ain't never heard none of them tell me that. Ain't nobody that I've come in contact with in all my 52 years of living. I've never heard not one person say hoodoo or conjure. I heard them say, they know that stuff. They know stuff. That's it. And these are other people on the outside of us trying to name what we're doing, giving it a name. But I ain't never heard nobody say that. Now I've heard other people call it that, but that's not what our ancestors called it. You hear them say it too, guys. God's work. But I've just never heard that term. I didn't. You know. My mama gets mad to this day if you accidentally sweep her feet or split the pole or put hair in the trash can. My mama goes crazy. See, it gets already in her like that. She probably have no idea that that's hoodoo. Good night, Nephrite. Nephrite. She probably have no idea that that that's hoodoo. Because when I was telling my mom, she was getting mad. And now that I look back, I say I should have, because I made a few mistakes with that. Now that I look back, I say my approach should have been totally different with them, with that. Instead of telling them what they was doing, they was getting mad, you know. And I'm trying to prove a point. I was too busy trying to prove a point than taking a different approach to it. But I've learned my lesson, so I can come here and and kind of give you a better, uh, you know, a better experience of it. Don't I've learned from my experience. Don't make the same mistakes I made. I got more wisdom I learned behind it. But again, I don't think they knew. I think it that I don't think they know. I don't think it's their fault. I think our ancestors was just trying to protect us and keep it looking Christian for our safety. Okay, to them they want that Christian label sticking on that, so that you want nobody come in there and make your stuff look bad. Okay. Yep, candy yams, they have all types of talent. So I think too, I don't think they did it on purpose. And I think some of it is still in the church that these people don't even realize what they're doing because they don't understand spiritual science too, because Christianity keeps you ignorant. Okay. And so a lot of them don't know that they're doing it as well. They don't know that they're doing it. They really don't. And my thing was, if you're trying to gain some knowledge and learn the hoodoo rays, and you see what they're doing is hoodoo, don't tell them what they're doing. Ask them what they're doing so you can get more insight and information and knowledge behind it. It don't even matter what they call it. That's not important. The important thing is for you is you need to learn what they doing and why they doing it. That's it. Don't even put no name on it. Because when you start doing it, they gonna think you accusing them of something. And that's a trauma response. They have every right to feel like that because they've been done like that. So don't tell them that, they doing hoodoo because they're gonna get mad. They might get mad at you. Just ask them what they doing. and how to do it. They're gonna be happy to share it with you, but don't call it that. I wouldn't if I were you. I wouldn't do that because that's not they got a Christian name on it. Let them keep that Christian name. You already know it's the same thing as hoodoo, but don't tell them that. Okay, that's gonna keep you safe and you keep you good standing with your folks. Okay, and they'll keep talking to you. But if you call it something else, they might get upset with you. Okay, Obeah is not taught in no classroom. It's direct transmission from spirit to student or from an elder or chosen one. That's how you're gonna learn that. Now your ancestors might start teaching you things if you start sitting in nature long enough and you're consistent with your ancestors and with spirit, they might start teaching you, but those spirits got to see that you real. They're not gonna be playing with you if you fake. They looking right at you. You're gonna have to be right. And I'm telling you, they're not gonna teach you certain things. They're gonna want to know what you know. Because some of these spirits that you call on, we talk about this in our conjure course, and we go through this talking about conjuring spirits. And you conjure them spirit, don't sit up there because they know they see you, and you better not be playing with them. You better be right. This ain't no play pretty plaything. And you better pay them. They not gonna playing with you. Them ain't your ancestors. You understand me? Some of them ain't your ancestors. You get to conjure, you going you high stepping now because you saying you know how to contact spirits. You know how to talk to them. They're not gonna have the same mercy that your ancestors have on you. They're gonna assume because you know how to do this that you know the spiritual laws, that you are accountable. So you have to carry yourself right over there. And see, I'm breaking down to you. This ain't no play pretty over here. That's right, step correct. Because I'm telling you, that's why a lot of people go crazy and they get over here and start because you came over here and your mind went right. You probably thought you was finna trick or manipulate or deceive a spirit, and that spirit drove your ass crazy because you wasn't doing right. The song Obeah Man was in Jordan Peele's movie. Nope. Okay. Well, that's a real thing. These people got power. And if there is any real Obeah women and men, you probably not gonna know it. You're not gonna know it. A lot of these people don't come forward. And again, they live in a different reality. I don't even think these people they don't live a human life the way you think. Okay, you think hoodoo clothes. That's totally closed because it's primitive. It is primitive occult knowledge. It is a primitive occult knowledge. They have to go back and study all these books. They have to study shamanism. Have to study animism. They have to study elemental magic. You got to study ceremonial magic, folk magic. You have to study all that to understand it. Because this is somebody that is very fluent in spirit. They know the language of spirit. So if you are out here, because that person was in my hunt, they did not only on a YouTube video. Not only did they comment on the YouTube video, they emailed me and was telling me they was like, Miss Penny, where's the book? And I'm going back and looking at the video. I said there was never a book here. I referred you to, and I thought I was very transparent about there is no book on Obeah. You will have to read about the history of it, how it was messing people up, and how our ancestors was using it to get justice and all that. Okay, that's the only thing you're gonna find in it. Find out how scared them damn folks was of it. People was scared of it. People so scared of it. They were scared of it because it worked. Okay, they want them folks. They wanted your ancestors to be Christians. Our ancestors, okay, we'll be Christians. We still gonna put some magic on it. We gonna still gonna sprinkle it. We gonna put some magic, sprinkle some magic on this baby. You think this stuff? You think you got something? We finna show you what you working with. And our ancestors always sprinkle their magic on it. No matter where they put them, our ancestors always sprinkle their magic on it and they call on their ancestors with it. They made their religion powerful because it didn't have no power till it got in our ancestors' hand. You do the study on it, okay? That's why you when we look at that Bible again, you look at it with brand new eyes once you understand the mysteries that's going on in that Bible, and you know how to use. It, you be like, oh, this is a ain't nothing. This is a mystery book. This is a book of magic. They doing it all the time. I don't care what them Christians say. They can call it miracles. Same thing. I'm not finna go back and forth with that. I done beat that so much. And when Christian people try to come for me, I just tell them you're a witch too. Okay, you sitting up there following the conjure man, doing the same thing I doing. Okay, I'm not finna try to prove nothing to you. You're doing the same thing. Now sit down and be quiet. Okay, you explain that why that man was conjuring and turning water into wine and stuff. Okay, that man was conjuring and working with water spirits and all that. Okay, so and that man was raising folks from the dead. The man was doing necromancy and stuff. And you call it, you put a Christian name on it if you want to. It's the same thing. Okay, we're gonna stop playing these games. Now I'm gonna bring you back into reality so you can get out this stupor. So I hurry up when they come for me. I just shut them on down because you need to get somewhere and sit down and think about what you're saying. 'Cause you ain't thinking about it. You just letting stuff come out your mouth. Rituals in the church don't even know it. There is no book of Obeah. It's not really a religion, but it's powerful. Libra Goddess is right. There's no book. I have to keep telling people that you're not gonna find it. If the only way you're gonna do that is you get somewhere with your ancestors and sit and start studying. Even then, your ancestors is not gonna. They don't see your spirit and seeing you being genuine about it and you being caught up materialism. Them spirits not gonna teach you that. You understand me? They're not gonna teach you that. You have to show them. You have to earn trust with them. And believe me, you do not want to get out. If you saying you want to do this, you do not want to get out of line with these spirits because look, here you will lose your mind. Candy Yam said, "Is there churches in the South that are hoodoo churches?" Yep, but they're hiding under the name of spiritualists. Anytime you see a church that have the name spiritual church of such and such, a church of spirits, a spiritualist church, those churches right there, they practice hoodoo. Now you ain't gonna see it when you first go in there. When you first go in there, it's gonna look like a normal church. It's gonna be but it's gonna be a conjure woman or a conjure man in there, and on prayer night through the weeknight, they doing conjuring. They setting lights and doing candle magic. hmm Only the members gonna know about the magic in there. But if you just visiting on the Sunday, it's gonna look like a regular church. But during the weekday, they doing conjuring. Only the members are gonna know have that inside information. And most times the conjure man and conjure woman is teaching them how to do candle work or helping them do candle work. Yeah, it's not many left. It's not many left because I know it was one in Arkansas, right there on Washington Avenue in Arkansas. It's a spiritualist church there, and there's a country woman in there. But if you go in that church, it's like a regular church, regular service. But on prayer night in the church, when the members go to prayer, Wednesday night Bible study, they conjuring, they setting lights, they're burning petitions and candles, burning candles on petitions and stuff. They do the same thing in the Catholic Church. They doing it in the Catholic Church too. They set lights in Catholic Church. They conjuring up in there too. It ain't just the dim. You can't find that. If it's a Hispanic community and it's a Catholic church in there, it's conjuring going on. They got them candles. It's somewhere back there. They burning candles. It's petitions on. It's candles on top of them petitions. And them priests in there know it. They got a whole section in there where they in there conjuring. You guys in the Catholic Church. They ain't stopped. You just don't know about it. See, we break that all the way down in our community because I want you to have all those resources. Hoodoo is everywhere, especially if you go in that Hispanic community. They gonna be conjuring because them folks got that in there. 'Cause they're my ancestors. Okay, they starting to find out they Indians. Remember, their descendants is those Olmecs, the original Indians of the Americas. That's us. Them folks still call on their indigenous ancestors and stuff, and right beside the Catholic saints, right beside the Catholic saints. Now, if you get you if it's a Catholic church somewhere and it's a lot of Hispanics somewhere, them folks is conjuring. It's gonna be and the priest would ask you. You go in there with your candle, your petition. You ask them, is there a place where I can set my candle and burn my petition and pray for my. They'll say, yeah, right here around the corner in the back, and you're gonna see other people with their petitions and candles burning. You see, looking over. So much in LA, Florida water everywhere. Okay, I'm in Maryland. I see a few in my. Okay. You can go right there. Them folks is conjuring up in there. Especially you can get in that Hispanic community because they never stopped. They went into that. The Catholic Church tried to stop them. You know, that's why you'll see that in the Caribbean. You'll see that in the Dominican Republic. The Catholic Church tried to stop them, but they kept on doing it. That's why you see voodoo and Catholicism. They tried to stop them. They said, "Oh no, 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 no! We just gonna turn this into what we want it to be." Our ancestors just turned that. Okay. Now you can't find no spiritual church, find you a Catholic church. Especially if the Catholic church is in a Hispanic or Latino community. Because them folk they can't stop them from conjuring. They tried to, and they about almost lost the whole church doing that. They said we gotta accept this in here. They're gonna do it, they're not gonna stop. They even thinking about putting Santa Muerte in there because they try to get them to stop with that. And she might have to go into the Catholic Church Pantheon. And like I tell you, when you start looking at those saints up in there, those saints start looking like ancestors because of the Hispanics. They start getting their ancestors canonized in there. And a lot of those saints are look just like me and you. You understand me? Yeah, they got them white in some of these pictures. When you start looking at them and reading the books, some of them people be black. I'm just gonna out and say it. You understand me? You think they white, and that why you think they Putin? He's finally showing these pictures of these black saints and stuff. That's how they looked. We can go further with these priests too, because a lot of these priests they used to be ancient priests of Isis, and when the Catholic Church came into play, they had to change and shift that. That's why I said when you start working with saints and angels, you can't tell the difference between them and ancestors. You cannot tell the difference. I know what I'm talking about. I follow ancestors. I don't listen to people. I don't talk to people like that. I learned directly from my ancestors. I want to know some. They'll, probably steer me to a little information. Then I'm sitting at the altar just listening. Some of it sound outlandish. I say, I sound like I'm making this stuff up. Ancestors that they said, no, you're not. It's a matter of fact. We're not making this up. We know who we are. And we're letting you know right now that some of us are saints. Some of your ancestors are saints. That's why they sending you over there to work with that saint. Some of them work with particular saints that was in their generational line. They knew how to work with certain saints. You have some of your ancestors that only work with Saint Peter or Saint Martha. And you start looking at these saints, yeah, they putting these pictures up here, making them people look pale faced. These people was dark as me and you, and I'm done with that. That's why I be trying to help you, but you don't want to listen. You think your ancestors just family members, but you don't want to listen. That you don't want to listen. And you go to messing with me, that's who you're gonna be following, your ancestors. You're gonna be following me. That's who you need to be following, is your ancestors. Okay? I want you looking at me. I want because they're gonna tell you the truth. And honey, when they tell you something, your mouth gonna fall. You gonna be like, I thought, yeah, you thought wrong. That's why you need to be being quiet and listening. Okay? I'm telling you what the ancestors, when I started seeing it with my own eyes, I was like, oh my God, these people, why they making them like that? Well, the Catholics still had to keep some kind of power when they was canonizing them, so they made them look like they was pale face. It's a power thing, okay? And I'm telling you right now, you think you far and connected, disconnect from hoodoo? No, you ain't. Go to the Catholic Church, especially if it's Latinos there. You probably need to be making friends with some of them Latinos because a lot of them, they have preserved a lot of ancestral knowledge, especially if they're long-time Catholic practitioners. I mean, members. A lot of them have preserved. They have a lot of, and we have to go over all their magic as well because it's ancestral. So you start following ancestors, they start leading you to where their stuff is. It's more than just that Bible. Remember, this happened to them everywhere. They went somewhere everywhere among the diaspora. So you got to look everywhere if you're trying to reach back and get that magic and put it together for you. You're gonna have to study a variety of magics because they didn't divided us up, telling us we Mexican, we black, we Latina. No, you your ancestors. That's who you is. Name giving us names, African American. They didn't change the Latino. Y'all should be just as mad as us. They didn't call y'all Latina, Hispanic, Mexican, because they hiding who we truly are, dividing us up. But now we all one damn people. Got a border there in Mexico. That's America. What are you talking about? Them our folks. We've been divided because these different countries came in and colonized us. The French came in and colonized the North America, most of North America. That's why you got Creole. Why you think they was marrying those black women? Because those black women was indigenous and they had the deed to the land. They hiding that from you. So now you got them French people going up in there marrying those women. You think they was marrying them, to save their life? Nah, they was marrying those black women to get access to that land. They ain't gonna tell you that, but that's what they was doing. That's the only way you can get access to it. Why you think that you got a whole bunch of these pale-faced men having these biracial children, calling them Moors, and they never mention the mama? They messed your mind. You don't know. They were the same people. We the same people. They told you we was different, you know. Then you got the Spaniards coming in, colonizing the lower of America down there where Texas and all that stuff is. They colonized that. And now they changed them people name to Mexican. And they still got dark people right there in Mexico talking about they come from Africa. Them people ain't from Africa. Them people are indigenous people that were already there. So just cut the crap. Them the people that y'all couldn't change their bloodline. Or they separated themselves. But you got Afro, or you call it whatever, Afro Mexicans, whatever you want to call it. They tell you them people from Africa, them people ain't from, and them people from right there. Them old Mex descendant people. You understand me? And I'm glad the Mexicans and they kind of waking up that they Indian, because they talking to other people. They realizing, hey, we not that. We got colonized. These people came in and changed it. Who we was. Now they steady changing our name. Every time we try to figure out who we is, they change our name to something else. Some of them waking up to that. But one thing they couldn't take out those out of them, they could not take out that ancestral memory, because all them still conjure. They still calling their ancestors. They still connect with the land. They still connect with nature. They could not take that out of them. They came up in that Catholic Church with that conjure. Hey, King Jaron. Hey, the chosen Ray Charles, a lot of our ancestors knew that, but they better not say that because they got locked up. Malcolm X said the same thing. He said what did he say? He said we were prisoners in our own home, or some secondhand citizens in our own land. He told you that. What happened to him? They unalived him. People have been James Baldwin told you that. So many people, Nina Simone told you that. Malcolm X told you that. You understand me? So you ain't far from hoodoo. You just don't know where to look. And see, over there in my community, I'm gonna show you where to look, because you are always you. My ancestors say you always been connected to it. Get that. Go look at that book right there. Go look at that right there. You baby, you always been connected to it. That's you. That's us right there. You see, when you follow your ancestors, stop talking to people and follow your ancestors. They're not gonna lead you wrong. All this knowledge come from just following the ancestors. I don't. I just practice hoodoo and follow the ancestors. That's it. And I'm so grateful for all the wisdom and knowledge that they pour in me. I wouldn't be able to come here and share it with you like that, like this. I have to come back and share it with you. And you have to look at these different materials and stuff and read it for yourself. Stop following these people. They just want to show you spells and stuff. No, I want you to have a foundation. I want you to have power. I want you following me. I want you to have power. I want you, I want that for you, because I know how powerful and empowering it is to follow your ancestors and have a solid foundation in your practice. Because if God and the ancestors for you, can't nothing stand against you. And I'm telling you the truth. And I've had a lot of ATRs try to get me into their religion or whatever. And I tell them real quick, no, I like following the ancestors. If they meant me to work with that spirit, I'll work with it. But no, I'm not trying to get initiated. I don't have to go that route. It's just me. I'm not jumping in one frying pan from another. I think that religion is messing us up, because it kind of forced us, their religion forced us to create a religion. That's what happened there. We want y'all in the box. It's just like I said, we need for y'all to put y'all God in the box. Hurry up and put it in the box, because we got ours in the box. We needed to be able to fit in this box. I'm not gonna do that, because I know the ancestors and God don't fit in no box. It's too big. It's too big. They don't need to be in no building. They ain't interested in no money. Why am I doing this? They interested in freeing your mind and your spirit. That's what they interested in. They ain't got nothing to do with the ancestors. All this other stuff y'all got going on with this religion, they ain't got nothing to do with that. They not even interested in that. You get over here with these spirits, you think you finna get rich. Now they finna fix your life and heal you. You ain't gonna worry about money. But the goal is not for you to be rich. Now, if that's something that you want to do, you want to work on, you can do that on your own. But that's not the plans you have for yourself. It's not the plans that your ancestors and your is they don't have for you. Again, this is a spiritual journey from you. You are not a human. You are a spirit here to evolve and grow. Okay? Can you work with ancestors without hoodoo, aka mystery magic? Yeah, but anytime you working with ancestors, you're gonna be doing hoodoo. Make it make sense. Can you work with ancestors without hoodoo, mystery magic? Yeah, you can work with ancestors. So you just saying you're not gonna do no magic. Is that what you're saying? You just gonna work venerate ancestors. There's some people that work with ancestors just to have a line of spiritual communication. That's fine. They don't do no magic. They just work with their ancestors, talk with their ancestors. If that's what you're talking about. But it doesn't make sense to me if you're doing ancestor veneration and doing magic, you are doing hoodoo. That equals hoodoo. So if you're just doing ancestral veneration, that's your thing, where you're just honoring the ancestors. Again, so you can have a clear line of spiritual communication, protection, and guidance. You can do it that way. But if you're thinking about separating your magic from the ancestors, how? Because hoodoo don't work without ancestors. I just broke that down. A lot of people want to get over here and practice hoodoo without the ancestors. How's that working for you? Because you're doing something spiritual. Anytime you're doing magic, you're picking up, you're working with spirits. Now you can talk to any practitioner, any Wiccan. They don't have to be a conjure man, a woman, or a hoodoo practitioner. They're gonna tell you they working with spirits. That's why they need the herbs. That's why they need the oils. That's why they need the incense. That's why they need the candle. They have to invoke a spirit to help them. You're not getting any magic done without working with a spirit. It's just no way around it. Okay? You could do, magic of your mind and all these other things. Again, it's just no way around it. And it makes sense. It makes more sense when you understand that you are a spirit. Stop thinking that you're a third dimensional person because you're not. Just like Baba Himmy said, you got to stop thinking like a person and think like a God. I hope that makes sense to you. You got to stop thinking like that because that you're not that. If you're gonna be picking hoodoo up and work, you're not that. You're a spirit. And a good way to understand, we had to go into the comedic sciences to understand ancestral venerations because we don't see ancestors as dead. We see ancestors through nature. We see ancestors through the tree. Why you think we are pouring water on the tree or the plant? We know our ancestors are connected with nature. Why do you think that we're going to this tree doing all sorts of worship or rituals? Why do you think that we're outside? Because we understood that our ancestors are highly linked to nature. Why do you think the Obeah man or Obeah woman is able to do what they do? Because our ancestors had spiritual relationships with these elements. You even see that in their Orisha. You got water spirits in there. You got mermaid spirits in there. You got nature spirits in our spiritual practices. How long have you practiced? I've been practicing a long time. I'll always be practicing. I think I started doing this a heavy study of this when I was about 29 years old. I read all sorts of book on parapsychology, all sorts of book on occult magic, angel magic, high magic, low magic, folk magic, um, the power of the mind. That's just been my interest. I'm just nerdy like that. Okay, I was trying to understand what was going on. My mom was taking me, and my mom was very spiritual. We was raised up Pentecostal. Yet my mom had I think she was innately because some of the things that she could do. And some people were scared of her because what she said came to pass. She was an air sign too, so she had to be careful what she said. Um, she had a lot of spiritual experiences. And she had a lot of books at home on ESP and things like that. And of course, I was fascinated with that. And I had a lot of premonitions as a child. I had some things happen to me, spiritual things that happened to me that I didn't understand. My mom was taking me around these root workers, which they didn't call themselves that. She knew where to go to get help. And so she had a friend that was a root worker. And first time I seen cayenne pepper work, I was pretty impressed with that. And then she had a boyfriend that sit there. I think I was 4 or 5, probably wasn't even 5 years old yet, but that man was sitting there showing me how to do some work right there on the lawn. It showed me how to lock up a dog bowels. And see that's indigenous knowledge right there. That's the kind of knowledge like Obeah people know. I don't know who taught him that. I've never seen that before. Never seen it again before. He was the first person to show me how to stop a dog from pooping in your yard. Show me how to lock his bowels up. That dog didn't nothing but water came out of his butt. And that dog didn't poop either. You understand me? I was very impressed by that. It left a impression on me. You know, it left an impression on me. And then my mom, she took me to some psychics. And it was a psychic that told me I was going to be doing this work because it was unbelievable to me. I was very unaware. I was going to the psychic with my mom about my sister. I wasn't going there for me. I took my mom there for my sister. So we get there, and the woman name is Carol Pate. She's done a lot of missing people cases. She's been on the ID channel. She's a white lady, and she was reading for my mom, and she turns over there and focus in on me and say, you do this. You do this. You're gonna start having enlightenments. You're gonna start having these spirits start coming to you. And I be damned, it wasn't a month or so later, I start having these dreams. These women start coming to me in my dreams. The- And ever since that woman said that over my life, stuff started happening. Okay, and then I saw her for a little while. Then she told me don't come back no more, cause I do the same thing she do, you know. And that kind of discouraged me. And she told me stop spending my money on that because I do the same. Been doing a lot of studying. I had been reading for other family members. I had been doing that, but I wasn't ready to walk into that yet. Okay. Oh my gosh, I think I remember you. Okay. But that's that was the first time she spoke that over my life. It shocked me and my mom. And then I dreamed of those women, these beautiful women coming to me, handed me a piece of paper. I was bringing things out of my dreams. I sat with other women who was bringing things out of their dreams. We were all trying to figure out what the hell was going on with us. We didn't know what was going on with us. So I sat in that community just trying to figure myself out, figure out what was going on with me. I had another thing that happened to me. I was talking to my grandmother. She was passed away. I was going through something with my grandmother. I mean, with my family. And I started talking to my grandmother. I was in my room crying. And a picture of her floated out of my ceiling. A picture of her floated out of my ceiling. I didn't never have a picture of my grandmother. I started calling on her and talking to her. A picture of her floated out of my ceiling. I talked to my mom about it. And she said, "There's no other picture like that. That's the only picture." I said, "Well, it floated out of my ceiling. I don't know where it came from. Can you confirm people can control you from having possession of your hair? You was the administrator or something of the nature, International Tech College." No, I don't think so. I don't think I was their administrator or something of that nature at International Tech College. I don't think so. Okay, can you confirm people can control you from having possession of your hair? Anybody get any of your personal belongings, they can do something with your fingernails, your fluids, uh, any attire that belongs to you. They have a link to you, a tag on you. They can do something with it. So yeah, okay, that's why a lot of our ancestors they burnt their hair. Hey, Tumba Francesca. Yeah, that they got your hold of your hair. That's why our ancestors they were very careful of how they disposed their hair, their fingernails. Hell, some of them even swept the dirt so when nobody take their footprints and do nothing with it. I seen the discussion on the title Obeah. Uh-huh. And yeah, we talked to Obeah. That's why I was bringing it up. We were talking about Obeah, and a lot of people want to know about Obeah, and I'm gonna repeat this again. There is no book on Obeah. If you want to learn that, you have to deepen your relationship with your ancestors, and you will have a cultivate a relationship with these spirits. You will not. You can't be scared to evoke a spirit, and you got to stand there and believe me. We break this down in our conjure course. These Some of these spirits don't look human. Why do you think in the Egyptian Pantheon you got segment with the lion face? So you're gonna see some spirits that look like that. That don't mean they evil. It's just again, it's a representation of the power and medicine that they carry. Okay, just like you have some Dambala in there. It manifests as a snake, not evil, but that's a representation of the power and the medicine that it carries. And so if you scared of a spirit, because again, you that's for the big dogs, the high steppers, the big steppers. And I even talk about this in Conjure. If you have not had enough contact with spirituality or spirits or anything, you probably don't need to be conjuring. because of the vibrations and frequencies of some of these energies. They, it can be scary, and then you see some of these spirits. They can be terrifying to behold when you see them. You have some angels, you know, you think they look human like, no, some of them look very different. They don't, you know, they might have a body of a human and the head of a bird, just like you see, you know, in the Egyptian pantheon. You got spirits that manifest just like that. Don't mean that evil is a representation of their power. The same way our ancestors, they put on masks and stuff like that look different like that. Different masks have different power. The same thing with spirits. That's why a lot of our ancestors was wearing these masks to go into the spirit realm to show a form of their power. Why do you think we have different masks and stuff in indigenous cultures? Okay, because when they go in the spirit realm, this is how some of these spirits look. If someone stolen from you, how to get it back. I learned. Now y'all asking me stuff that you probably need to get a reading for. You asking me stuff that you probably need to get a reading on that. I learned a little bit of Obeah, but not enough. You probably just, you know, to learn all that, you will have to be sitting up under elder, or you will have to be born in a family like that start transmitting the knowledge to you when you're young. They'll already be taking you out of nature and showing you things. That usually went hand in hand when you was going out in nature. When before we was disturbed by colonizers, our ancestors was taking us out. You wasn't sitting in no school learning nothing. Okay, you wasn't doing that. Them ancestors were teaching you about plant medicine. They were teaching you about, you know, how to communicate with different spirits, different calls, different chants, and things like that. Different. You were learning. That was your education before they gave you whatever the hell they gave us. Because we don't know nothing. You look back on what them folks taught you. They didn't teach us a damn thing but how to stay colonized. That's all they taught us. Because again, our ancestors were teaching us about the woods, different trees, different medicines out there. They was teaching you root work. You was learning that right off the bat because you was a child. Okay, they were teaching you how to heal. They was teaching you how to be a doula. They was teaching you learn that from a very young age. Okay, they wasn't giving us. They ain't gave us them people, honey. I get so mad when I talk about it. Lord, y'all, I get so mad. Them people ain't taught us nothing. You hear me? You get over here and start learning about hoodoo and about your ancestral medicine and they modalities and all that. You learned that them people ain't taught you a damn thing. They had you just sitting still in that classroom. Ain't taught you nothing. If you was to go outside somewhere in the woods, you wouldn't last a day because them people ain't taught you nothing. They done miseducated us and everything. Taught you stuff that ain't even important. You hear me? Them people ain't taught us nothing. I get upset every time I talk about it. I have to catch myself. But they ain't taught you nothing. Now you usually learn that when if they wouldn't have came in and colonized us, we would have knew the plants. I learned from birth definitely beautiful blessing. The dollar part is a big part because the baby being born is all the cycle of life. That's is the entire truth. Doula, yeah. Okay, I'm telling you, them people ain't taught us nothing. And then got rid of the midwives, our ancestors that knew some. Them most of the midwives that you see that was delivering babies and stuff, they was black women. And then these doctors come over and take that over. And get rid of the midwives. Most of them was root workers. Okay? A lot of them was root workers. They got rid of them. And the doctors, they came in and took over that. You had the men start taking over these sort of sciences. I just go on and on with this, you guys. Okay, so again, if you want to learn Obeah, you have to study every occult book they have, you guys. I'm telling you, it is a list of them. You have to study Western occultism. You have to study Eastern uh Asian occultism. You have to study um what is that? Eastern India, Indian occultism. Occultism, you're going to be studying all those different occults. And I said, why are we studying it? When I was asking ancestors, I said, why are they studying it? He said, because it really come from you. But because it's not in their lineage like that, they're trying to comprehend it. So they have to read all of this from this. But it actually it's a very primitive mystery knowledge. And it comes from you. And they don't really understand it because again it's bloodline too. It's bloodline magic. It's in the lineage. My friend mom was from Medulla. I don't know much, but she tell me some stuff I think from. But I work with the medical field. It's crazy. They work to keep people sick so they can stay paid. Yep, paid. Yep, they do that. They don't treat the mind, body, and spirit. And like I tell you, when we go over here and we start doing our shadow work, and that's when the hoodoo practices come in at when you'll be using some of the modalities. Maybe you find out you have anxiety, so now you have to drink some lavender tea or chamomile tea again to address your nervous system, get your nervous system together. I always tell people, keep seeing your doctor, taking your medicine, but also keep feeding your spirit and see how fast you heal, because the doctors don't include uh the mind and spirit when they teaching you. I mean, when they healing you, when this needs to be heavily included. Because as the mind and spirit is sick, the body is not gonna get well. The body is sick, is having a reaction because of the mind and spirit is sick. The body is sick is a allergic reaction to the sickness that's going on in the mind and spirit. They ain't gonna tell you that though. You got a lot of us walking around here with and I talk about this when I talk about psychosomatic illnesses. We walking around here with a lot of us got PTSD. We got high anxiety. Some of us are autistic. Some of us got ADHD. Some of us got ADD. Do you know where this come from? I'm gonna tell you right now. And they know where it come from because it pissed me off when I start trying to heal myself, and I do root work. I go all the way back. When I look at an illness, I be like, where do it come from? That's how I look at everything. That's how the ancestors did with me. Even when we're going through some of the rituals we do, I go back and I find where this ritual first start. I do root work from top to bottom, no matter what I'm touching. Where does magic come from? I'm going to the origin of it so I can understand it. So when I was doing all that research, finding out what was wrong with me, do you know we have all this stuff going on with us because of the result of the past intergenerational trauma we experienced during chattel slavery. They knew this was going to be, we was going to have these sort of issues. Even angels and mermaids, fairies look different to the human eye. Yep. See, sirens aren't beautiful, but the voice is. Yep. Again, these are you are having a reaction to the environment that caused the illness. And then on top of that, when we start looking at these mental disorder, a lot of these mental disorder, you mentioned bipolar, it's because you're living in a society that's using dark psychology to keep you spiritually sick. That's why uh, uh you have a high percentage of narcissism in America, because all of the lot of dark psychology is what I'm telling you. Mental illness is promoted in the Americas. A lot of stuff that's going on in America right now wouldn't be able to happen if you were well, mentally well. That's why it scares me to be there. Scared to go back there because that stuff shouldn't even be happening. that's going on over there. Nepal should have been happen. A Haiti should have been to happen. When I go there now, I'm just so sorry. I don't mean this. I see a whole bunch of zombies. I see Valley of Dead Bones when I look at America. Dead, just zombies, just zombied out, just NPCs, whatever y'all want to call them. Nothing is going on in there. Nothing is going on in there. Just nothing. I see people just sitting back like sheep. They know they going to the slaughterhouse. They're gonna walk there anyway. They know they going to the slaughterhouse. They willingly going. That's what I see there. It's scary. It's frightening. Then I look over here in Nepal, and Nepal said, "Hell, no, you ain't finna do that over here. No, we ain't crazy like that. Uh, we gonna throw y'all ass in the river." That's what Nepal did. Start throwing folks in the river. Okay, it's a shame you understand how sick it is until you get out of there. Until you start healing. That is one reason why I'm going to put that shadow work in your face and that ancestor work, because this is the work that they were doing when they passed over. They were trying to get this stuff together. This is the work that needs to continue, and it's going to keep coming around. That shadow work, every so many years you're going to be faced with that. Why are you saying that? Because it's time for you to do something with it, and it ain't going. This ain't no love and light over here. That ain't gonna get it. Did Haiti use love and light? Look at your ancestors, what your ancestors had to do. Did Haiti use love and light? Did they love and light their way to get their independence? Our way. Did Haiti love and light their way out of there? Did they pray to a Jesus in the sky to come out and save them? Did the Israelites wait? They just go back to your Bible. I don't see a person in that Bible that loved and liked their way. They God told them to put their hands on them people and get them folks out their land. I don't know what kind of God you these folks that gave you something. It ain't right. Okay, there's no critical thinking coming on at all. That gave you something, a fairy tale. This is the story they gave you. Because if you was to really do what that book really told you to do, you won't be being oppressed right now. I guarantee you that. Okay? Ain't no lie. But I wouldn't run even if I could. It'll take time to clean though. Okay? Is anybody in that book? They telling you a different story, because if you really followed that book, that Bible that you're reading, you'd be getting rid of those rascals. If you was really following that Bible, they got you stuck on a Jesus, heaven in the sky. Jesus gonna come save us later. And we know did none of them kings and none in that book do that kind of stuff. Okay, so there's no critical thinking going on there. And you just being made to be sick, but you won't see it until you are healing. And they already know that stuff is in our bloodline. Already know when we have all these psychosomatic illness going on with us, multiple sclerosis. I can just go on and on. Uh, what that trauma has done to our bloodline and our lineage. They knew we was gonna have high blood pressure, diabetes. They knew we was gonna have all that because that's what trauma does. It shows up. That's the reaction of it. And then we're disconnected again spiritually and mentally. And now these disease have an open door to set up in our body. And we sitting up there, we don't know what's happening. What's happening is your mind and your spirit is not right. Everything is disconnected. Once you get that stuff connected again, you can start healing your body. But it's not gonna work until you address the core of the issue, which everything start happening with your mind and spirit first. And I think a very interesting thing to look at is when you look at cancer, because these people, they go in and find tumors, and people got eyes, they got nails, they got fingers in these tumors. So what is cancer? Cancer look like a damn a body snatcher, like some trying to take over your body. That thing that took over your body, growing in your body like that. Cancer is you know, you look at that look like some alien or something trying to take over your body. This is that toxicity that set up infection in your body that you was carrying in your mind, and so you wasn't doing nothing about it. It was already in your mind and spirit. You wasn't doing nothing about it. You constantly trying to keep going on, and now it's got to manifest some type of way if you don't move it out your mind and your spirit. It's got to go somewhere. So what does it do? It start growing in your body. It's going to manifest as some type of dis-ease in the body, dis-ease in the spirit and the mind. They know this though. They already know this. I break this all the way down to you when you start doing your shadow work. You can understand the magnitude of the healing that you need to be doing, and have these folks sitting up here really making us sick. They know damn well we should be getting free health care after all this stuff happened to us. We should be paying a dime for health care. We shouldn't. 'Cause you know damn well y'all put this trauma in our bloodline like this. Y'all opened us up and made us susceptible to all types of spiritual attack when y'all did that trauma to us like that. Our ancestors very aware of that. That's why they got them spiritual baths and all that stuff crunk up. They were very diligent about that. And you start really understanding why hoodoo is more than just magic. You start learning that real quick. Okay, you start learning that real quick. But hoodoo way more than magic. I'm gonna show you that. Now these folks up here, I just got through talking to one of the practitioners. She was talking about all the shadow work she was having to do because she was trying to do some stuff. But I love it because now she putting it together. And she said, Miss Penny, I got to do this work first and get my mind right before I even do this work. I said, I know, child. I said, and people keep calling this magic, but we up here doing some damn work up here. If they really knew the work that we was doing, they wouldn't keep calling this magic. You hear me? It takes some self care to get stuff done. Why you think we doing these baths and stuff, getting our mind together and stuff? Because we have to do some shifting in ourselves before we even walk up to that altar and start trying to shift something. Because if it ain't in us, we're not gonna see it in that magic. We ain't gonna see it shift. We got to do the shift here first. You already have to start. That's why you do the baths and all this stuff. Start preparing yourself psychologically. Open yourself up for that. Man, you see the work you have to do. People won't be too quick up here to tell me, I'm gonna show you this spell. No, you gonna sit your ass down. That's what you gonna do. You gonna stop showing people stuff and get them the full context of that because you know you had to get somewhere and heal and work on yourself before you even start picking up stuff, doing stuff. Stop telling people that because we have to work over here. We have to get in alignment with the work. We just don't start picking up stuff. Tell me, let me show you something. No. Hell, we had to work 3 or 4 days, do 3 or 4 days of work before we can even light that candle. And then we constantly doing work while it's burning. So is it really magic? It's a science to this, you guys. It is. Once you understand it, there's a science to it. And just like Obeah, it's a science to that as well. If you want to get into Obeah, and I'm telling you now, that is a big commitment. You're working with nothing with spirits now. There's certain things you're not going to be able to do. Matter of fact, them people don't even be around humans no more. They don't sit around humans. Hey, Miss Penny, I just realized you're not even in the US. I didn't realize the time difference. Yes, ma'am. I'm in Thailand. No, we could try the same time. That's fine, but we're gonna do it cause it's still y'all still on y'all Friday. So we can do it Saturday. The times can still be the same, baby. I don't know what time zone you in. Yes, midnight your time, but we can do it. We're gonna do it 8 o'clock p.m. your time tomorrow. It's a 12-hour difference. It's no problem for me if it's not a problem for you. Okay? Okay. So again, if you're gonna get into Obeah, again, you got to study all of it. And what I've noticed, I said, why are they studying all of it too? Because again, all of it's ancestral. Especially when we start looking at in Hinduism, you start looking at Hinduism, getting into conjure. You be like, where did it come from? Why is that in conjure? Why why are we looking at Hinduism in conjure? Because our ancestors was looking at Vedic astrology, and Hinduism looked at a lot like voodoo. Hinduism look, oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I get speeches every time I look at that because it looks so much like voodoo. They do possession. They set up tables and altars. They do all the things like voodoo do. So when I seen that, I said, but I can understand now why it got into conjure. Why Hinduism got into conjure. Would you say I look like them? hmm Okay. So again, if you go into an Obeah, I don't know many people that is really have that sort of knowledge. They did during the times of the diaspora, and we were moving a lot. A lot of our ancestors had a access to that knowledge. I don't see many people that do it, and most of the people that claim they're doing it, they're not. You know, and if you do run into a Obeah woman or man, it's gonna be by accident because most of these people don't make themselves known. You got to seek them people out. Somebody got to know them that it's gonna take you to them or something like that. Because a lot of them, they're not, they don't even get caught up with society like that. They don't. They live in a whole different realm of spirit. So you won't be, you won't. I don't think you're gonna catch them on social media or nothing like that. Because again, they work totally with spirits. They have a relationship with spirits, and they know things. They can. It's just, I have no words for it because these people can utter a few words and they can make stuff shift. I think the closest thing I heard a guy talk about it, and it meant it I think what's the name? He talked about it too. Um Maladoma Some, somebody mentioned him. He talked about his grandfather had that type of energy too, because he talked about how him and his grandfather was outside one day, and um this bird pooped on his grandfather, and his grandfather uttered one word, and fire came out the sky and burnt that bird up. Now Maladoma, he don't have that type of knowledge, but his grandfather did. You understand me? His grandfather had that knowledge. Okay, they have that sort of, you know that sort of knowledge. But Maladoma Some, he don't have it, but he saw it in his grandfather, and he saw too how important ancestral veneration was in among their people. And he breaks that all the way down. He has some very good information when it comes to ancestral veneration. Did he write that? No, he didn't write that other book. That was somebody else wrote that book. I've read so many books, but he has some very good information when it comes to ancestors, and understanding ancestral rituals and communicating with nature. He has some really good books about that. And I'm trying to get a hold to. I think I got one book. I think we're gonna go over there in there. It's an audio book, but he has some really good books when it comes to that. Okay, I am in Caribbean ancestry, but born in the U.S. Should I practice Obeah? You can't practice Obeah, beloved. There's no way you can practice that. The only thing you can do is practice hoodoo. Now, the ancestors probably lead you to know some things, secret science of Obeah, but again, there is no book on Obeah. There, you will have to find an elder. That's going to be very hard to do because a lot of them were wiped out because they were very afraid of these people. They were very powerful people, so a lot of them got, you might meet somebody with some of that knowledge, but not with all of it the way it was prevalent then. Not many people know that. And to learn Obeah, you would have to learn all the occult sciences that has ever been written to understand that. And I will say it again, even doing that, you don't even scratch the surface on it because they don't fully understand it. And I firmly believe because of this, they don't fully understand it because it's bloodline, it's ancestral, it's indigenous. You will never understand it. And it was scary for them too. That's why they had them things in your ancestors' mouth. They closed their mouth. You see them ancestor pictures of them with stuff over their mouth with their mouth shut because they didn't want them folks talking. Them folks was saying stuff and they people was dropping dead. You understand me? You have that over there in voodoo. When somebody pass away over there, they know a phrase to bring them back to life. You see some a little bit of that in voodoo. Voodoo have some of that mystery knowledge over there too. That's why they call it the mysteries. Voodoo has a sense of that too. You will see a little bit of it in Ifa as well. Because why Obeah encompasses all of that because it's ancestors. All of it came from our ancestors. Indeed, just primitive people. It's primordial knowledge. That you're going to see little speckets of it everywhere. Okay? It's my grandma. She knew how to split a storm. That's the indigenous knowledge. That's why you get up in here. Some of the knowledge you can go out in nature and communicate with nature. Who was somebody else? Somebody was on TikTok saying they had got stung by a wasp or something, and their grandmother told them to go take a nail and hammer and go put that nail in that tree to stop the pain. That's indigenous knowledge. You understand me? Nobody knows that knowledge. She didn't even know her grandmother knew that. But this is the knowledge you'll see that some Obeah priests they have Obeah priests or priestess they have that sort of knowledge and then some. They know how to crack over the heavens. They know how to make fire come out the sky. Okay, and the only time I've seen that type of conjuring magic is with Moses or with Jesus. This is very primitive old knowledge. It is ancestral knowledge. That's like over here, our ancestors show us stuff don't nobody else do in they magic. My ancestors have showed me things to do in magic don't nobody else do. It's not really magic, it's ancestral because again, it's tied to the old indigenous occult knowledge. And see, back then they didn't write no books like that. They took you out in nature and your ancestors showed you something, just like my mama's boyfriend had me going out there showing me how to lock a dog bowels up. That's how they would teach you. You would be out in nature and they'll be showing you different things. They'll be showing you magic. They'll be showing you how you're connected with nature and how nature responds to you. You would have learned that. That is an indigenous knowledge. You would have to be um, with the elder to show you that, that had a connection to the land, to nature, and these spirits. So there is no book for that. Now you can read about hoodoo all you want to. Is it possible that your ancestors can take you down a path and start showing you that? Absolutely. But you again, you have to earn these spirits' trust. They're not gonna play with you. And that's why there's no initiation in hoodoo because it's certain things you're not gonna be able to do if these spirits see that you haven't done the work. Because the spirits are initiating, your ancestors are actually initiating you into this as you follow them. It's gonna feel like that, especially when you start doing the shadow work, like my client said now, and it probably feel like initiation to her, but she knows you become aware. I cannot do this work until I do this shadow work because I'm gonna block myself because she's aware now of what she needs to do, and so she's willing to do the work. She know in order to get to the next level to do this magic, she has to do the work. That's it. That's how it works. That's why there ain't no initiation over here because there's certain stuff you ain't gonna be able to do if you don't do the work. And your ancestors gonna gonna tell you that you're gonna feel that in your spirit once you become more and more self-aware. That's what ancestral work does. It becomes again, you become more aware, more enlightened. You again, you're learning to master self. That's true magic. It all works together. You can't have one without the other, you guys. Okay. I cried so much doing my shadow work. I'm still learning about myself. It is. It's a byproduct. And once it seems like once you release that and you heal from that, you now you can go to that altar with no doubt, no nothing, because you done moved all that out. You already did your bathing, removing all those toxins. You did a clear and cut bath. You know, you've been really working on yourself while you're doing the shadow work. So now when you go to your altar now, you removed all those blocks. Now you know your stuff gonna chunk. You ain't got no wounds or nothing on you. You have done the work and now it's gonna move. But see, you got some people that's not even aware of the alignment they need to do to get with their magic. They want to do this magic and they're not even in alignment and they did no work. And then wonder why. I wonder why that didn't work. I wonder why it didn't work. You did no planning, you did no preparation. You don't understand how it worked. You ain't called on no spirit, no protection. You stop showing people stuff that don't understand it. It's just not good. And then they think it's something wrong with them, which that could be it too. But then giving them a healthy approach to get results, showing them how this work. Don't just tell, and I just don't like the term magic because anybody that's doing this, they know we have to do work. We got to get our mind together. It ain't gonna work if your mind and stuff together, your mind, your emotion stuff, it ain't gonna move nothing. Okay, I ain't gonna lie to you, baby. And I'm not just gonna be telling you something to make you feel good. That ain't gonna help you. And I know you got people up here showing y'all stuff and all that kind of stuff. Um, but believe me, there's just greater context to it than it's showing you watching a pretty candle burn. Okay, I love how you let people know this. I tried it too. It's too much misinformation going on here, and you can't have no African spiritual practice. I don't care what a ADR or a ATR. You just can't have it without the ancestors. It's not gonna work. Stop that. You ain't like them new age people, so stop trying to be like them. You're not them. You're not them. Fasting and eating right helps out right too. It absolutely does. That help get that work moving even faster. We talk about the science of fasting and praying and stuff. That makes your stuff move a lot faster. Cause them spirits they see that, they feel that. They know you serious. They start moving that shifting that stuff for you real quick, like okay. Cause you letting them know you serious. You're earnest about that. Okay, so fasting out that's a part of the spiritual science. It ain't gonna do nothing but clear it and help it move quicker. That's what I went to first. My ancestors. I didn't feel comfortable dealing with other spirits. Go to your ancestors first. Always go to them. Go to them first. You know, if they want you working with another spirit, believe me, I know the science of this. If you're being consistent with them rituals and hoodoo is aware of your life, they're gonna start popping up in your dreams. They will start popping up in your dreams. I'm not lying to you. Okay, they'll start popping up in your dreams. If you being consistent with those rituals and all that, you were born with everything you need. Believe me, you're gonna if you consistent, you earnest with that, them spirits gonna start coming up in your dreams. Or you're gonna start seeing a lot of synchronicities. But this ain't no one thing, just take consistency. And this ain't no microwave pop anything, it's gonna be done 15 minutes. No, you keep going. And when I'm working with that, I let them know I'm gonna keep bugging y'all till I get an answer because I know you gotta answer me. I talk to them spirits just like that. I'm gonna keep calling on you. I'm gonna keep invoking your name and calling you down here until I get an answer. Cause I know you got the answer. God Almighty said you got the answer. You got to answer me. And they answer. You understand me? You gotta be a matter of fact like that. You gotta have some tenacity with this. Okay? You may have to wrestle with it, but I don't let up. I don't play. I let them know I ain't playing either. I'm serious too. I'm keep calling on you because I know you gotta come. Okay, I'm not playing with you either. I'm calling you for real, for real. I'm calling you for real, for real. You know, give you all the I'll give you all the tools you need. Why you think our ancestors they were setting up them altars? Some of them use sigils, some of them use seals, but they was attracting they spirits they was calling on. They was attracting them to that altar. They knew how to call them down on that altar. Okay, I give you that same access. I'm gonna give you everything you need. But it ain't gonna work if you think this is some flyby. You want to be sometiming with your work. You want to do it sometime. Well, that's the kind of results you gonna get. If you ain't serious about it, about this or whatever, maybe you want to just keep on hiring people to do the work for you. And if that's the way you want to keep doing it, but you're gonna put in some work over here, just like anybody else. And you should be wanting to do it because most of us to get in there, we got more time than money, so we don't mind investing like this because we know it's gonna be rewarding for us. Just pick up. I'm calling. That's how you have to do it. You got to keep on, and they're gonna come. So you know it, you start having all types of dreams. You be like, oh my gosh, I just had a dream. Da, 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 da. Okay, they're gonna be popping up on you. Just stay consistent, or you'll start having these creative ideas coming out of nowhere. Answers just start popping in your head. Everybody say they want claircognizant, and I've had it. Do you really want it? Because it is the oddest gift ever. Claircognizant is very odd. It's left me crying sometimes. Claircognizant, it will leave you. It left me crying because I don't know how I came up with that answer. I have absolutely no idea of how ABC. I be wanting to know the ABC equal, but it don't happen like they were claircognizant. Answers just pop in your mind. You don't know how. That's how you know the spirit's talking to you too. It's the oddest thing when it happens. You just know something. You don't know how you know, but you know from a matter of fact, hell, you'll bet all your money on it and be right. But with the tripped out about it thing about it, you don't know, have no idea how you know. That's the scary thing about for me, because I've sat somewhere and cried and be like, how did I know that? Be crying because I can't figure it out. Be crying and trying to figure out how that answer come in my mind. Please help me understand. You say you want claircognizant until it happens. I think that is the most difficult clear it is. It's claircognizant. It's clear knowing. And then you can see stuff too. Can't nobody else see. You be trying to explain what you see and how you know, and people be looking at you like, I still don't understand how you know. It's odd. You say you want that claircognizant, but I tell you, when it happens to you, and I've seen it happens to me in readings often. And the person looking at me is shocked. I'm just as shocked at you because I didn't know that was it. That was gonna pop in my mind. It's gonna come out my mouth. Okay, it's something you never get used to, and you don't try to figure it out because you're not. I've sat somewhere and cried about that because I couldn't figure it out. My ancestor said, "You're gonna have to stop doing that. That's just how we work. That's just what it is. Stop trying to figure that out. That's just how it works. The most important thing is you trust it when it happens. That's it. And so you say you want it. That's a clear. All of them, the other ones that I like those. They don't pretty much leave me baffled. But claircognizant always leave you baffled. But that's how a lot of these spirits gonna communicate. They're gonna put answers in your mind. You're gonna have streams of inspiration and creativity. You're gonna start understanding complex things you couldn't understand at first. That's how these spirits work. And you have a lot of these occultists. They write books saying this. That's why you have them going into the occult. All these people that's smart in computer science. That's why they get into the occult to help them understand this stuff. And some of them are learning specifically from these spirits. Why you think so many millionaires, billionaires, and these people that own companies? So why you think they go into the Freemasonry? Why you think they doing that? Most of them are in the occult, and these spirits are helping them with their inventions or anything they're trying to create. And they write about it. They'll write about how they came in contact with this spirit. and they were telling this spirit that they were trying to come up with something, and through the night they start doing the work, and this spirit start giving them formulations and things like that to figure things out. Yeah, I've seen it. It's happened to me. You think I understood all this stuff on my own? No. Same thing happened to me. It tripped me out when my mind started working like that. I started understanding complex things. I started learning stuff about the spirituality. I thought it tripped me out how my mind was doing it. But once you start the rituals up, that's the byproduct. That's what's gonna start happening, which y'all call downloads. That's what you call them. You're gonna be getting a lot of downloads. Okay, your creativity stuck or whatever. Start working with these energies. It's gonna start to move and flow. That's why when my creativity gets stuck or something, I just stop doing. I stop doing everything and just start listening. Just start listening to them, talking to them, and telling them what's going on. Before you know it, they stop pop putting things in my head, ideas, creativity, things to talk about. I was like, oh my god, okay, 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 I got it. Okay, but you don't know how spirits work. You just looked at too many Hollywood shows. That's what it is. But these occultists, they are telling you what it is and how they function. This is how they know because these spirits, they start giving you information telepathically, helping you understand it. These are uh the unseen sciences, intelligences. Some of you have some occultists call them intelligences. And for the Obeah woman and man, some of this already born in them. They already know how to call on spirits. Look at Tetraba. Uh, Tetraba, which we getting ready to cover that over there in our community. But look at Tetraba. Them folks didn't know nothing about necromancy, but Tetraba learned it from her lineage. She was a natural necromancer. You have to remember, in our lineage, we talked to spirits all the time because we understood we were spirits. So most indigenous people are natural necromancers. Okay, I know it is, for lack of a better term, I have to use this. We're natural. We can naturally talk to spirits. You can see that in your church. You the one, you only one, we the only one in the church that sitting up, jumping around, calling on our ancestors. They mounting us and all this stuff. We're talking in tongues. That was unique to the black church. And then later on, them people, they know they were feeling something when we was doing it. They was like, "Oh my God, they feeling stuff because I feel it coming off of them." We need to do that in our church. Now you have other cultures, not just white cultures, doing. I've seen Asian people act like us in their church, jumping up and down, getting the Holy Ghost and stuff. I said, "Oh my God, what is happening here?" They've been telling you all the time you had the sauce. They copy you. Then you go in these white churches, they doing the same thing, even trying to huff and puff like our preacher. And well, come on down here. Well, and the Lord said, well, that is unique to us. To us. That's unique to us. And if you look at that closer and you look at a voodoo ceremony, you can't tell the difference in each of them because they both look like they doing the same thing. So a lot of that stuff is already in you. It's ancestral memory. You have some Obeah women and men memory, they're able to recall and gain that knowledge. But they are not. And again, if you're studying this, if you're studying Obeah, you would have to really understand the spiritual sciences of all religions, understand the spirits of the elements of nature and know how to work with them. But you're really not going to learn. You have to be taught by your ancestors or elder, and it's not many elders here that know authentic Obeah. They got rid a lot of them. They didn't want that around. But you still got, again, and when you look at Obeah as well, I think the closest thing to it, and then again, I don't think I'm doing a service, so I don't need nobody coming for me because I had a lot of people. come for me when I'm talking about Obeah, and I want to keep it in a respectful way and hold it in high regards. So while I'm saying this, I'm going to say it like this. I don't think I'm even scratching the surface, but to Obeah, it's similar like hoodoo because it's a spiritual science, and you can be in a religion and still practice Obeah because Obeah have mastered the comprehension of religion and how it works. Obeah is not gonna do. It's gonna just amplify any religion that it's in. It's gonna make it magic. That's what Obeah does. Kind of like what we did with hoodoo. We said, okay, we think of playing, we're gonna add our ancestors to it, and we're gonna put some of this natural magic on it, and we're gonna move something with it. We're not gonna play with you. We're gonna make them words real. So you playing with them words for fake. We're gonna make these words come alive for you. But you don't want that though. You want to give us this Bible, but you don't want us to make it come alive. We're gonna make it come alive, and then we're gonna use it on you. We're gonna show you how it works. That's what our ancestors did. We're gonna use it on you because see you sitting up here playing, you trying to use it on us. We finna take this thing and use it on you and whoop you with it. How about that? Yeah, we're gonna be really up in church calling on this Jesus y'all call Jesus, but we finna change him into a conjure man, and we're gonna change Moses to a conjure man too. We're gonna make it do what we want it to do, and it's gonna do that. Just like you trying to make it do what you want to do, we're gonna show you how it's done. And that's what we did. You just answered my question without me asking, am I a pastor kid? So yes, we did it. Yes. Y'all did you do it, they doing it at church too. They're doing you go look in that Bible when they're doing all these sacrificing these sheep and stuff, that is voodoo. That is voodoo in that Bible. It is hoodoo in that Bible. It's that. They got you thinking, well, hoodoo was born in slavery. No, it's much older than that. So stop trying to make it be. It is ancestral. It was that magic was already in your ancestors when they came over here. They didn't need no Bible to practice hoodoo because hoodoo was already in them. So stop saying they didn't even call it that. That's the time that they start giving it a name, probably. But they was doing that before they even gave it a name. Now you need to talk to your ancestors. Get yourself out these books sometimes and talk to your ancestors. Because see, sometimes you think you know by reading in the little information from the books, but the most of the information you need to be getting from spirit because they ain't gonna lie to you. And like the ancestor said, this is older than this book because we was doing this before they start calling it that. They said, take this Bible and stop that magic. They stole it. I don't understand that statement. No, I'm sorry. They said, take this Bible and stop that magic. They stole it. They didn't know what they was dealing with. Okay, they tried to, use that Bible against our ancestors, tell them they was cursed and all that stuff. The ancestors, okay, we see our ancestors in this Bible. So what we gonna do? That man y'all calling y'all serving is a country man. The man you love so much that started y'all religion, Moses, that man was the biggest conjure man. Oh yeah. They even started studying the 6, 7 books of Moses. They started learning about the occult. They started learning about Solomonic magic. Yes, they did. And these are what practitioners need to be talking to you about because that's in hoodoo. It's in hoodoo. And not a book that I can go into talking about folk magic where they don't mention your ancestors' magic. I show you that with your own beautiful eye through every book review we get over there, and I break down a lecture. Honey, I take you to the book. I put the book on the screen so you can see it with your own big beautiful eyes. They can't talk about folk magic. They can't talk about no magic if they don't talk about you. They got to talk about you because that's where it's come from. Your magic helped them understand their magic. Yep, he had a staff. Most people pretend not to see that about Moses. That man, they know what that man was doing. Is that because if the Christian people come for me, I'm gonna tell them. I'm gonna stop it because I know how to stop it from coming from me. Because I'm gonna tell you because you don't know who your folks is. Them folks is conjuring everything, and girl, you conjuring too. Every time you call on God and Jesus, you conjuring. Okay, and you doing necromancy too because you calling on the man that's dead. That man died. You calling on dead people. Don't talk about me. That man ain't even your ancestors. You don't even call on him, but that what y'all doing. Practicing necromancy. You can't talk about me. If I'm a witch, you a witch. Okay? If I'm doing magic, so is you. You just call it miracles. It's the same thing. If I'm doing divination, you is too. You just call it prophecy. Or God said. Okay? If I'm talking to spirit, so is you, because you said you heard that God told you in your spirit. So the Holy Spirit told you. Same thing, y'all just calling about something else. And stop coming for me. Okay, stop trying to judge folks. Okay, your ancestors kept you safe by putting Christian names on there to protect you. Okay, I just decolonize it for you, and I'm trying to give you the spiritual science behind it, because Christianity don't teach y'all no spiritual science over there. They teach you a whole bunch of religious garbage. That's what they teach you. Okay, it's the same thing, but because your church don't want you looking at no other book, and that book set up there and told you, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. And you know you supposed to. Some of you don't even read the book for yourself. Even if you read the book for yourself, you could separate the religion from the spirituality, but you won't do that. You love the religion more than you love the spirit. You don't love spirit, you love the religion. Okay, that's why I can't get with that religion people, because it just appears to me when people get into these religions, they love the religion more than they love the healing and the essence, the spiritual essence of the religion. They worship the religion, not the spiritual essence of it. That's why I have to separate myself. Okay, especially when I see them, you study. Why you study trying to initiate everybody? Because everybody don't need to be initiated. No, 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 no. That don't work like that. No, 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 no. And your title, just because you got initiation title, doesn't mean that title hold any weight in the spiritual realm. You got people right now, they got 5 or 6 initiation, and ain't no spirits pulling up on them. Them spirits don't even know who they is in the spiritual realm. They're just paying for a title. You got some people that ain't got no title, and they know everything about the spiritual realm, and they high ranking in their spirit. The spirits know them. Spirits move for them. So just because somebody go pay for a title or something like that doesn't mean that. And you're not supposed to be getting initiated over there anyway if your ancestors didn't tell you to get yourself over there. Your ancestors supposed to, most people that go on initiation, they be in a spiritual crisis. Their ancestors making them get over there and do that. This ain't nothing that they're wanting to do. Nobody, most people I know, this old school, they didn't want to do that. Their ancestors made them do that. Ancestors gave them the money, made them sick, messed up their life, gave their life hell, and told them that if you don't get yourself over there, we're gonna mess up your life. You're gonna stay in spiritual psychosis and all that. And so they had to get over there and get initiated in voodoo and lore to get in alignment with their ancestral magic. Their ancestors made them go over there and do it. That's most of the people don't really want to be initiated. That's a lot of responsibility. They got to do all these sacrifices. They got to serve all these spirits. You don't know what you asking for when you get over there. Them people got a lot to do. If you see what they have to do, I don't want to be plucking no chicken and buying chickens and messing with stuff. I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to do that. I don't want that. Okay. I don't want to be having to eat certain parts of food because to feed my or I don't want to do that. This is the stuff they have to do now. This stuff you volunteering for. You don't know what you volunteering for. That's why I thoroughly did my research and looked at that. And when I do have you approach that, we take a total hoodoo approach to that. We approach it the way we approach it in hoodoo. No, because I don't want to be picking up no chickens. I don't want to be messing with stuff. I don't want to, I'm too gooey for that. I don't want to be sacrificing no chicken, no goats. I don't want to see no blood nowhere. I don't want that on me. Okay, I don't want to be having to deal with that. And this is what these folks got to do now. And this is what you think them people volunteering for stuff like that? Come on now. Who volunteering for that? It have to be your ancestors make you get over there and do that, because them people don't be wanting to do it. And they this is a way of life. They got to serve them spirits, and them spirits needs particular things on their altar. You can't put no anything up there. It ain't like your ancestors' altar. You have to go out and buy this stuff. These spirits need this stuff. You got to put it on there, and you got to be consistent at it. Because if you don't, them spirits get mad at you. and mess up your life. And you see a lot of people of initiation, it didn't fix their life. You see, they didn't know what they was getting into. Their life is a disarray because they ain't got it in line yet. And that's why a lot of them don't need to be coming here trying to initiate y'all. Honey, them folks got so much to do. They should be so busy doing. When I tell y'all this, y'all think I'm lying. They should be so busy doing sacrifices, reading up on these adu's and all this kind of stuff. They don't got time to be trying to get you initiated in there. They got too much. Ain't nobody volunteering for that. I'm telling you now. You saying you want that, honey, that stuff come with a whole bunch of responsibility. And then you're going to be out of a whole bunch of money. And I'm telling you that now. That's why I look at it like that. Stop trying to net. I'd stop them real quick. How come you in the ether? Because my ancestors told me I don't need to do that. I'm just fine where I'm at. They teach me enough where I'm at. Well, do you know about EFA? Yeah, I know about it. I made sure I knew about all my folks. I looked at all their stuff. I sure do. I ain't got nothing against it. I love all of it. But I know that's ain't what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be right over here with them ancestors, listen to what they saying. They supposed to be teaching me. I'm not supposed to be jumping around doing nothing else. If they wanted that for me, they would take me over there. But they haven't taken me over there. Believe me, I've asked them. And they told me to sit right here. And that's what I do. I have ancestral spirits that will not let me deal with blood. It's absolutely forbidden. Do you hear me? How do you find your ancestors? Again, you start talking to your most elevated ancestors. They show up on you. What you mean they ain't find you? They right there with you. You just got to acknowledge them. Just start talking to them. Start pouring libations. Going outside near a tree, pouring water, calling on your most elevated ancestors to come forward to start guiding you. That's simple. It's not hard. The only people that's complicating it is us. We the only people to complicate ancestor veneration. But we love George Washington Day. Oh, we love Abraham President's Day. Oh, we love all them days. We don't make that complicated. Okay, all it take you could go out there and pour a libation, be consistent in and calling on them. Okay, call on your most elevated ancestors. They'll start coming forward. They ain't gonna hide from you. They're gonna be right there. I remember I told my ancestors when they came forward. You see, I talked to spirits. And they came forward. I was upset because they was moving stuff and shaking stuff, fixing my life. Then I said, "Where was you at?" Asked my ancestor, I said, "Where was you at all that time? I needed you, and all that stuff was going on with me. Where was you then?" Honey, I asked my ancestors that. Honey, they start flashing pictures and memories in my head. Said we was here right there. Remember when that happened to you? Memories start. I said, "Oh, that was you." Here, we was right here. Another memory came up. Remember when that right there happened to you? And then you got out of that? We was here right there. I said, "Oh, that was you?" Had that will show you. Memories start popping up in your head. I hurry up and shut my damn mouth because they was with me when I didn't know it. Tripped me out. They been there all the time. You just didn't know they was there. And I've had some stuff that happened to me. And they kept showing. They said we was trying to tell you, but you was so wrapped up in there. But we was right here all the time. We ain't never left you. We was always there. I heard up shut my mouth. I said, "Damn, y'all did get me all out of there." I was wondering how I got out of it. That was y'all. Yep, that was us. That was us. We got you out of that. My ancestors don't like to visit me when I'm in the U.S. They say the soil is sour. I don't know what to do about that. I know for me, I can connect to my ancestors because the ancestors are connected to the land. That's why you have to again connect with the land and connect with nature and pay respects. That's the first thing I did to Thailand when I got here. Is they altars that they got here. I hurry up and gave them an altar because again, my ancestor said, "Don't be rude. You coming up in these folks' house, ancestors. Now these your ancestors too, because now they got to take care of you. You here? Go put some on that offering on that altar." And so I had put an offering on the altar. Because when you start looking at ancestors now these ancestors have adopted me. I'm on their land. You got to think like that. You got to honor the ancestors of the land because them ancestors gonna be looking out for you. Okay, if it wasn't for them taking care of the land, you wouldn't have nothing to eat from. You wouldn't have nothing to stand on. Our ancestors very aware of that. They were very they grew their own food. They had a relationship with nature. You got it, and that's just like when I came to Thailand, I had to come here and honor these ancestors. My ancestor said, "Do not go to them people house like that. You know, we raised you right. Say, speak to them folks. Talk to them folks. Cause you're gonna be over there." I went right to that altar and I gave an altar and said a little prayer and some gratitude. There's ancestors wherever you go. And see, you thinking ancestors is just family members. You're sadly mistaken. You are sadly mistaken, boy. I can tell you, boy. If you can see how many ancestors, boy. You see, you're not looking in the spiritual realm the way I'm looking in the spirit realm. It's more than family. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You see how many it is. Your mouth probably dropped wide open. You think it's just family. Oh no. You I'm telling you now, it's more than that. Okay? Especially when we start working with the saints and all that, and you understanding your most elevated ancestors and how far they go back in eras. You understand it's not just your family members. Okay? There's a lot of them. And you got galactic ancestors, some ancestors that's never been born that's guiding you. You got ancestors where you're from your spirit, your soul is from a specific star system from those ancestors. You got ancestors like that. Do you understand? You don't understand. You know, you got galactic ancestors. I think the most to understand galactic ancestors. Remember Lovecraft when that woman was on that craft with that black woman in space with that afro. Remember that in Lovecraft Country. You remember that, and she was up in space. Remember that? Those were her ancestors. Those were her galactic ancestors. You got ancestors that are galactic that never been born that's associated with different star systems. You got ancestors that were great shamans, that were great healers, root workers. You got all that in your bloodline. You are connected to all that. You got ancestors that see that you're a root worker. I'm gonna use an example. Say you trying to perfect your root work. You had it happen, and you're trying to get into voodoo or whatever. You don't know how to do it, but you know ancestors know how to do it. Which ancestors would you call on? A lot of people call on Marie Laveau. That's what I say. Some of these ancestors they will pull up on you and start teaching you stuff. You understand me? You see, you don't know how to work with spirits. They even got when and I'm gonna use another example, and it's with Catholicism. You got a lot of people that get into hoodoo and they want to learn more about the occult science. A lot of them are called on Saint Cyprian. Saint Cyprian is a saint that mastered occultism. But the thing about Saint Cyprian, if you call on him to help you understand these spiritual sciences and do work, you got to follow. He's strict. You got to do everything he wants you to do. You got to be on time, be consistent with your ritual. You got to do how he wants you to do because if you don't, Saint Cyprian leave you where you stand and he will ghost you. But you can call on him to help you with certain magic. You got people going down to Marie Laveau grave asking for her assistance. Same thing you could do with Aunt Caroline died. Why you think we're talking about Black Herman? Why you think we're talking about Bishop Mason, Dr. Buzzard? We still can call on them ancestors right now to help us in our work. Thank you so much for this teaching. You so much appreciated. You're welcome, King Jar. Queen Afua book teaches this too. You can call on them. People that been over here and they start having the Netaru pulled up on them. Different Netarus start putting up on them. Some people have Orishas pulling up on them. I don't know where your ancestors gonna lead you. When you start following the ancestors, there's just no limits. Now, if you jump over there in the religion like Ifa and all that, they religion admit to keep you over there in that religion. You're not gonna be able to do nothing but that's in that religion. Hoodoo ain't like that. You might have ancestors pulling up on you. You need something done. They'll probably have you. They'll have different deities pulling up on you. I can't say it ain't in there because if it's in your bloodline, it's gonna come up. Okay. I had dreams was having literal fits. Ooh, that's scary. What bad when you and and think you act like a baby? I am a baby up under them because I don't know nothing. I can't keep up with them. They faster than me. That's why I tell them be patient with me because you know I don't know as much as you do. Please be patient with me and have compassion because you know I don't know as much as you. You're an elder over me. So be patient with me. Please forgive me if I'm doing something and I didn't know I was doing. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to do it. I just woke up for now and saw this live. Got to be back to sleep, but I had a question. Is hoodoo Obeah the same thing? No, Obeah and hoodoo, it looks so much similar. I can see why you say that, but I want to say this: Obeah is more ancestral and it's attached to indigenous. I want to say to the indigenous mysteries, and none of them wrote that down. It was more orally. You had to be practiced orally or already in you. But but if you go up in somebody's house that practice Obeah, you might see the Orishas in there. They might work with the Orishas. You might go in there and see Catholic saints in there because they work with Catholic saints. You might go up in there and see Loas in there because they work with Loas. You might go up in there and see some hoodoo, spirits up in there because they work with hoodoo. You go up in Obeah, it kind of reminds you of hoodoo because you will see all sorts of spiritual systems in there and they work with them perfectly and very well. Okay, you might see a little bit like that in hoodoo, but rather in hoodoo, hoodoo is not using so much of indigenous spiritual science. Okay, they're not using that sort of spiritual science, but Obeah is. They're using primitive knowledge, and hoodoo is kind of using a little bit of the systems, which it is following the African traditional system of ancestral veneration. But it's also, you got to remember that it has some European elements in it. Okay, it does have European folk magic in it. It has Jewish mysticism in it. So again, it's using these mysteries to really understand their spiritual practice. Rather versus Obeah, Obeah is using ancestral magic again to understand this knowledge. They're coming from again from their ancestors, the indigenous knowledge. That's something that was never written down that's already in them. I hope that made sense. But it looks so much alike. It does. When you look at Obeah because it's no telling what you're gonna find in there. And they know how to work with different spirits. Okay. Now the only way I can see you learning it is your ancestors teach you, elder teach you. But like I said, there's not many people left that's teaching it because they got rid of that real quick, like because that our ancestors was saying stuff and people was dropping like flies. Okay, especially some of these women that was, and you'll see a little bit of it in voodoo because over there in voodoo they know how to bring people back to life. Over there in Haiti, they say this phrase and they know how to bring these people back to life. So you'll see a little bit of this indigenous knowledge in some of these ATRs, and you'll see a little bit of it in hoodoo. But these are little just bitty little driplets of it. The Obeah and the Obeah man and woman know all of it. We just get little bits of it, but they know all of it because they sit here and they talk to these nature spirits. They talk to the ancestors. These people live in a different reality, I say again, than me and you. I don't even think them people think they're not human. I'm saying like that. Hoodoo is similar to Sufism, and they use many different practices to connect with main source. I'm telling you. So when you start looking at it, I'm glad they see your precious Emra saying that too. When you start looking at hoodoo and seeing how some of this Eastern occultism got put in here, especially when you're talking about Asia and all that, because I was just sitting there and I was looking at that. I said, "How in this getting?" I know the ancestors can do anything, anytime, but it was just really tripping me out when I seen it, and I was like, "How did they get in here?" They said, "Well, just take a look. We've already told you that everything is connected through maternal. All these spiritual practices connected through the women. So let's just take a look." And I took a look at that and I said, "Oh my God, this looks like voodoo." And I said, "I know voodoo is ancestral." They said, "Right. Don't you forget the first Asiatic person that went over into Asia was a black woman." I wrote that in my book. That's how you have these nagas that come about. But yeah. So remember, it's the black woman that came gave birth to those civilizations over there. So why wouldn't it be an ancestral? Why wouldn't you connect with it? That's why I said you need to sit down, stop talking to people, and sit down and talk to your ancestors. I'm gonna give you the information, then I'm gonna tell you sit somewhere and sit with your ancestors and think about it. What about Eastern stars and Masons? Some of these things we think belong to others, and we are actually doing it first. You sure right? I be trying to tell people that without telling them that your precious emerald ain't lying. Because when you start seeing hoodoo, you be like, "Oh my God, I can't get rid of it. It's everywhere. Hoodoo is everywhere." I couldn't see it with my eyes at first. But when you've been touched by the ancestors, they say, "There, we over there too. We ain't just over there. That's we over here too." Remember, we went everywhere. We went all around there. We over there too. Go look in that book over there. We over there too. You can't get away from it. That's why I said, when you see the ancestors, they everywhere. You can't get away from them. I'm see why you would try. Why would you try? Because you're gonna look up and they're gonna be right there. They everywhere. You can't get away from it. Okay, you think hoodoo is just isolated in the black community? You start looking at that Mexican magic. Them your folks too. Remember them folks is Indian for them Spaniards came in there. You ain't lost hoodoo. You want to get back into it, you can't find a spiritualist church, and I'd have told you. Go talk to them Latinos because they doing conjure in the church. The church and tried to stop them from doing it. And the church said, "Nah, we can't stop them doing it because if we stop them from doing it, we're gonna lose all our members. And we ain't gonna have no money coming up in this church. We gonna have no money coming up in this church. We gonna have no money coming. We got to let them keep it. And them Hispanic people keep on doing it. They don't care." And he raised hell when they had somebody. These are dark ancestors. Now they got you thinking that I'm talking about Afro Mexicans because you got to remember they were Afro. They acknowledged that. They acknowledged that that's in there. Okay, and so when these saints would pass away, the Catholic Church, because they didn't practice their religion the way the church wanted them to, but these saints still had a relationship with people. These were midwives and root workers. They were still going out healing the community, praying for the community, doing miracles and magic and everything in the community. And so the community gave them great reverence and just, high accolades. And so when they passed away, they would tell the church they need to be canonized because these were saints. They was in our community, working in our community, and the Catholic be like, "No, no, no, no. They didn't follow the way we wanted to do, and we're not gonna do that." Well, you have the yes, you will. You will canonize them. You gonna put them in there. They were saints. They would bug that church until the church didn't have no choice but to canonize them and make them a saint. And then they'd turn around, try to lighten them up and make them pale face. But them people, a lot of them folks was black. A lot of them saints was black. And them, them Hispanics, and I hate them calling it because we the same people. We were actually the same people. But they gave them people hell until they canonized them and made them a saint. You have the same thing in voodoo. It's sort of the same way. They would canonize the saint, the ancestor, and make them saint like, and they become Loas. Same thing. And see, they knew this. And I don't, but a lot of them starting to wake up now to their indigenous roots. A lot of them starting to wake up now, but a lot of them preserved a lot of that knowledge. They still have a lot of that knowledge. They brew her with knowledge, and they still got a lot of powerful magic over there. The Hispanics do, the Latinos do. A lot of those our ancestors that were priests over there, and so they were able to again preserve a lot of that knowledge. Santa Muerte is actually Anubis and Baron Samedi. Uh-huh. And the Catholic Church, they dealing with that because they said they gonna make us canonize her because they won't stop. They got married. They said they tried to stop him with the Santa Muerte. They said no, we won't stop. We won't stop. We won't stop. And now the Catholic Church looking at said now we're gonna have to canonize this because they won't stop. And then the way they work, and they would get, the way they work, and they gonna get on that Pope nerve. They gonna get on that priest nerve until they canonized him. They will keep on. That's how they got a lot of them saints canonized in there because they just would not let the church not recognize all the spiritual gifts and all the community work they did. They wouldn't let it rest until those Catholic priests they gave no choice but to canonize them because most of them y'all forced them into conversion of Catholicism, but hell they said you gonna force us into it and then you gonna tell us how to do it. No, you're not gonna do that. It's bad enough that you force us into it. You're not going to tell us how to do it. We're going to do it the way our ancestors have always done it. They just never changed. And we did the same thing too. The same rebellion went on with Christianity. We still did it the way we did it. They all came to me at once. Thought I was about to die. Laugh aloud. I'm telling you. They can't get it out of there. So, you haven't lost anything. Connect with your Latino community. Go to their Catholic church. You see some Latinos around there. Ask them where they set the candles at. You go around there, you're going to see some conjure work going on. People burning candles. Might see a couple of mojo bags. I'm just telling you the truth. Now we go into this even more. You might think you probably think, well, Miss Penny, you just talking outside of your neck. I'm not. I'll take you right to the information and provide you with the resource so you can see it with your own big beautiful eyes. I don't have to lie. I ain't gonna say nothing I haven't studied or the ancestors ain't told me. Okay, you can see it with your own big beautiful. But we have to study all this stuff. So I know a lot of these people they got you stuck on hoodoo being isolated in America, it's not. Remember, this was a diaspora. This happened to all of us. Don't let these ATRs fool you and think that you're cut off from learning about this. No, you're not. You have to because you are following the history and the spiritual practices of your ancestors. So you have to look at it because a lot of that got in the hoodoo. Understand the crossroads spirits and High John the Conqueror. And you have to learn this. Okay, so it's not separated. We the same people. We just in different areas. Same people. We just in different areas. Same people. Okay, they hoodoo may look different because they're in a different area. So of course it may make a little different. But these are same ancestors. Just because they was in a different location don't mean they was different. And people to try to separate it like that. Ancestors say no, they need you don't need to be looking at it like this. You need to be looking at us as a whole because all this happened to us. So stop trying to separate everything because we are the same people. It doesn't matter because we was in different places. We still was the same people. Even original Celtic magic, Congolese civilized Ireland first. See, it's always gonna go back to you. You can't get away from it. That's why I said y'all keep on. They can keep on digging. They want to, thinking they gonna find themselves. They're gonna keep digging. The more they dig, the blacker the people get. So just stop it. You're gonna always see this face. The more you dig, you're gonna see a face like this. The longer you dig, the far back you go. You look at it just like you have to tell those Wiccans over there. I had to tell them Wiccans. Y'all venerate Diana, the goddess Diana, but do you know she's black? Y'all made her a goddess into y'all religion. Do you know she's black? They get mad. Some of them get mad when you telling them, but she is. Y'all keep painting her white, but she black. Really, y'all wouldn't have a divine feminine in there without a black woman. I'm just telling you the truth. These people were black. They get mad when you're telling them because again they had to go in and water it down and paint them things white and then tell you it don't matter. Tell you it don't matter. Well, if it don't matter, why you paint them white? Why you paint them with a pale face? It had to be make a difference to you because they was painted the right color, and then you came in and painted them pale. You see that too with some of the Orisha. They paint them Orisha's pale face. They didn't need you to fix it. You know, you see some of that go on there. And it'll fool you until you start talking to your ancestors. You be thinking these all them Catholic saints and stuff white. Them saints is black. And they paint them white. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm not lying to you. Okay? All those royals are considered royals because of the black blood further down the lineage. Uh-huh. Okay, so I've told many people this. Even that Buddha. When you're looking at that Buddha, that man got what you call them? Uh uh what you call them cornrows. He got them things in his head, them twists in his head. You could clearly see that Buddha was black. Then they want to tell you some snails crawls up on his head. There ain't no snails crawling. That is curly, kinky, curly hair on top of the Buddha head. So they let you know that all them started off as black civilizations. The mothers there were black, later turned white. Yeah, Bantu knots. Got them Bantu knots on his head. Okay, now they starting to discover now. Even when I in Thailand, I've seen people from Thailand darker than me. These Thai people now they darker than me. Yes, right here in Thailand, there's Thailand people that are darker than me. Okay, while I was in Malaysia the other day, going down the street, I seen an Indian man darker than me. I said, "What the hell is going on around here?" He was darker than me. I said, "What the hell is going on around? That man is darker than me. Is he really Indian? What is this?" Okay, and stop watching these programs. Stop listening to these people and listen to your ancestors and look at what your ancestors telling you. And I've been mistaken by two different nationalities. One by putting you on the charger here. One by a man that was from Philippine. He thought I was Filipino, and I kept telling him, "No, I'm not that. My mom and dad are black. I'm black." He wasn't convinced. And then I walked into a barber shop one day, and we was selling some insurance, and I had my nice little wig on, my little curly wig on, and the man was talking to one of my coworkers. And he looked over there at me and somebody, look at you. How you in here? You ain't even black. I said, who the hell you talking to? He said, you ain't black. I said, I am black. This is a wig. I'm a wig. This is a wig. I'm not. What is wrong with you? I look just like you. And I was like, ancestors, what is going on? Why is these people saying I don't look, and I know I'm black. But then you have some of us, we can go for different nationalities. You look at some of us, we look like different. As you won't notice until you go into other nationalities. You be like, dang, they got people as dark as me. No wonder I'm being mistaken by other nationalities. Okay, I didn't know that. And then, and two, go back and look at your pictures of your folks. I had to go back and look at my family album. I said, let me look at them again. I'm saying, no, there's something going on there. That something happening here. What are we calling black here? you know what are we really? You really start to look at things, and then you start to really understand when your ancestors was telling you you was Indian, they wasn't lying to you. Okay, you're not African American. You really start understanding that because I don't think we take a time to really look at ourselves. Go back and look at your family. I had to go back and look at that picture album and really start looking and say, wait a minute, what am I looking at here? What am I looking at here? Why am I being mistaken for so many different nationalities like this? Because and then you have to go back and say, well, my grandmother did say we were Indian. She didn't say anything about African. She said Indian. So, and I didn't know what was going on at first when it was happening. But when I started looking at those pictures, my ancestor said, go back and look at those pictures. Really look, because you're not looking. Look at you. Look at your folks. And I guess my eyes kind of open a little bit more. We some of the last of the Nagas, the serpent people, short Indians from New Orleans, definitely Indian. I mean, that's what the ancestor said, that nationality. I was again trying to wonder why I was being mistaken for so many different nationalities. I'm like, I got kinky hair, dark skin, I'm a brown skin person. I don't know how you can get that wrong. You looking at me, I'm black. And then I had to go back to what my ancestors told me who I was. And I said, okay, they said I was Indian. So maybe this is where the confusion is coming in at because I'm not seeing. Ancestors has tell me, sit down, look at that picture album again and look at your folks. And so I had to sit down and I started looking at them. I said, wait a minute. They said, well, you need to get that African American out your head. I mean, yeah, you're American, but no, you're from here. So really looking at things from a different perspective, uh, that really helped me. And then finding who your ancestors was and where they went. So again, we cover all that. We're gonna and then now with I think next week, sometime next week, we should be jumping in to we're gonna cover it all. We're gonna have to look at Mexican magic. And then when you're looking at American folk magic, you're looking at hoodoo because American folk magic can't talk about their folk magic without talking about hoodoo. You're gonna see it in every book. They're gonna have to talk about you every time. If they don't talk about that, they're gonna talk about ancient Kemet. They're gonna bring you up every time. They can't talk about folk magic without talking about hoodoo conjure. They cannot. Okay. And so I know you see a lot of people here, they kind of keep you isolated. Um, Again, I think a lot of practitioners try to keep you hoodoo looking Christian, and it's not that. And so over there in our community, we give you hoodoo in its full totality, letting you see how limitless it is versus somebody else trying to make it look like a religion, like it's just in this box. No, it's not. Okay. And help you understand how much freedom and liberation you do have in your practice. And I think knowing these things and having these discussions really helps you understand the freedom and the liberation that's in the practice. That's me. That's my approach to it because I know it's not religious, and that's what draw me into hoodoo because it gave me a deeper relationship with the ancestors and it opened me up to learn so many things about the spiritual sciences. It didn't restrict me. And that's what I liked about it. And that's what I wanted to get away from. I didn't want to be in religion. And what I noticed in Ifa, all of them, I think all of them are beautiful religions, but you got to stay right there. You think you're gonna be over here doing a lot of things that we do in hoodoo. You think you're gonna do it in Ifa, or Isheshe, these them other spin out 21 divisions and all that. You think you're gonna do that over there, and you're not, because those are religions, and they already have things set up the way they have set up. So it's things over there eh, we can do in hoodoo that you won't be able to do over there because of the way the religion is set up. Now, what I love about the 21 divisions, though, I was looking at that the other day, is they have different divisions that's focused on water. They deal with nothing but water spirits. That's over there in the 21 divisions now. We got this in here. That's why I tell you that Obeah knowledge is kind of spread out. Then they got a division where they did nothing but fire spirits. They work with nothing but fire spirits over there. This is 21 division. They have broken some of these elements down, and some of these divisions they work with nothing but specific energies or elements. Okay, this is what your ancestors did. They already had a relationship with them, so you can see Obeah kind of spread out in that. But again, to really understand that, you have to be born in that, and it has to be orally passed on to you, someone to help you open up that magic within yourself. And if you're lucky, if you committed and devoted to the spirits the way they want you to be, they will show you. Finally, somebody uh talk about Obeah. Yeah, I don't know who I am. You don't know who you are. What does that mean? You don't know who you are, baby? What you mean you don't know who you are? Okay. So it's there. Okay. So Obeah, and I seen a lot of people get scammed looking for Obeah man and Obeah woman, and they get scammed. And I say this to say this because there are not many of them. They were damn near extinct when people they was outlawing Obeah. They were getting rid of a lot of these people. And if there is some, I don't know, many gonna make themselves known. You got to go find somebody to know them, or somebody got to take you to them. Okay. Hey, making money. I don't know any of my lineage. I don't think that's important. I think I don't know anybody past my third generation because they get lost in time. Ancestors get lost. Their names get lost in time. Uh, I work with my most elevated ancestors. Okay, you don't have to know their name; they know you. I think that people you get caught in that because people are telling you about family, ancestors just family. No, no, that is incorrect. I wish people wouldn't make it like that. In fact, you shouldn't be having no family members on your altars. Them folks need to rest. Okay, you need to work with the most elevated ancestors, and then go ask family members would they like to work with you instead of slapping them on your altar and asking them the stuff. Them folks is tired. They got their own lessons to get on the other side. They got still more healing to do when they cross over. I wouldn't even be messing with them folks until I've talked to the elevated ancestors, tell them what I'm trying to do, and ask them for guidance on who I can call on as a family member that's passed over that will help me. I just want, that's just me, you guys. What do you mean most elevated? The ones that died in very good condition, then died in trauma, then died evil, honorary. The most elevated, beloved, holy ancestors. That's what I mean. Hope that answer your question. People don't fully understand, Obeah. We have a bad rep. It's not only darkness, and you indeed pick ascended. Okay, thanks. Okay, and Obeah, it gets a lot of bad rap, just like what they said in here. Who said this? K Avenue said, yeah, it gets a lot of bad rap. Yeah, it's gonna get a bad rap because it gets stuff done, just like hoodoo and conjure. Yeah, it's gonna get a bad rap because it's gonna get justice where we wasn't getting justice. Yeah, it's gonna get a bad rap because yeah, it's gonna lay you on your back if you ain't right. You understand me? And then Obeah, they knew how to work with these spirits to get justice. And the Obeah woman to tell you it wouldn't. I wouldn't have been able to do it had you not already been carrying that energy. I just focused it on you. Okay. Yeah, get a bad rap, just like hoodoo, but it is much needed. Wouldn't have to do it if you wouldn't be oppressing. All the people gonna like them like Tupac. Now, the only people that need to be worried about is the people that's oppressing. But if you ain't oppressing, you shouldn't have to worry about it. That's how I feel about that. They did right. You need to be laid on your back. You need to see that because see, you don't believe God is real. And the Obeah woman and the Obeah man showed you that God is real. You can't go around here and just be doing stuff. And some folks can lay you on your back with a few words. You need to see that, because see, y'all around here playing with this Bible talking about what God said, and then when somebody do what God said, now you scared. Don't be scared. You started it. Okay. That's why they had it when they wouldn't be able to do it had you not been around here messing with folks. Cause them spirits is watching them, and if the spirit didn't feel like they was right in doing it, they wouldn't have been able to do it. Cause them spirits watching them and watching you. The spirit wouldn't been willing to do it had you not been raggedy already, and you needed the lesson. I'm just gonna tell you, they didn't want that around there, and your ancestors barely was able to do conjure and hoodoo. Had to hide that. They was scared of that too. Okay. So if you do find be a woman or man, I would vet them very well, because it's not many out there that's authentic like that. It really isn't. And if it is some, they're hidden. They're not going to make themselves known. They're not going to be on social media. They're not going to be reaching out to you like that. They're just not going to do it. Okay. And them people, they obey spirit. They follow spirit. They don't, you don't see them around a lot of people. Okay. Them people live in isolation. Okay. They live in isolation. They're around people. You got to go find them people out. They're very peculiar people. They're not materialistic. You might see them. Their house might look a little bit run down, or you go into their house. They got so many different altars and shrines and stuff up in there. They communicate with a lot of spirits, but they live a very simple life, and they're not very materialistic. And if they charging you for something, believe me, it's for them spirits. Because they serve them spirits. I'm telling you right now. They cook big dinners. They go way out for these spirits now to pay these spirits. 'Cause they understand the language of spirits. Okay. So if you see one that come up, or be a priest or something that come up like that, and they charging you money, you thinking, oh, they finna go buy this and that. No, no, they ain't. Uh-uh. They finna go take care. They actually gonna pay the spirit. They actually gonna get it done. They actually gonna pay the spirit. It's like shamanism. If it's yeah, it's like that. Okay. They can't. I don't like touching it. K Avenue. I don't like touching because I don't feel like I know enough about it. But I know enough about it the way the ancestors told me. And you think you got a big commitment when you jump into Ifa and you jump into these other religions. No, when you jump into Obeah, your life belong to those spirits now. That's what it is. Y'all don't know what you're asking for. You don't know it. That's a big responsibility. And it's certain things you got to live a certain lifestyle. So y'all looking at the power and all this stuff. These people earn every bit of their power because they are no longer a part of the material world. It's important for you to understand that, just like Ifa is Shay Shay. You want to be over there and want to be initiated. I don't want to be messing with no cows and making sacrifices and buying chickens and running after chick. I don't want to do all that. I told the ancestors I don't want to do that. Okay, it's a lot of work. I don't want to do that. I don't care about that title. I got to do all this for a title just to say I'm initiated. No, I don't want to do that. And believe me, it's some of them not want to do that, or they can't even afford to be in their religion because they got to buy all this stuff. You good, Miss Penny? Somebody in your bloodline told you to speak on it. I guess they did, girl. Okay, and I had that, cause I every so often I have somebody go to that Obeah video, and they would go to that video. They was like, "I just you broke it down so simply. I've never heard anyone talk about Obeah in the way that you're talking about it. Most of them are very vague, or that they don't go into the subject the way you do." And so I have somebody comment on the video, but this particular person, he commented on the video, But then he said, "No, I'm gonna email her because I know she know a book." He thought I knew a book. If I knew a book, baby, I'd sure refer you to it. But I don't know no book. There ain't no book out there on Obeah. Only person you're gonna be able to find that, you're gonna have to sit down and talk to your ancestors. And you got to earn those spirits' trust because that's very sacred knowledge, and they're not gonna be sharing it with you if they seeing you full of fluff and your heart ain't right. Them spirits ain't gonna trust you with it. They're not gonna give it to you. It's certain thing my ancestors won't show me. They'll tell me a little bit about it. They let me know if you jump in there, girl, you got to go in there. Your whole body got to go in there. You can't jump in there and get your feet wet. You get in Obeah, girl. That's your whole life. That's what it is. And see, y'all jumping in these initiations, and over there, and that most of the people that's been initiated, if they're old school, they a lot of gonna tell you this is not what they want to do. You think them people want to be in there messing with chicken, wringing chickens' necks and doing blood? You think them people want to do that? Do you actually believe they want to do that? No, their ancestors made them do that because that was in their bloodline. And their ancestors most likely have some type of pact or some type of agreement with their spirits. So now they got to keep this, they got to keep generational line in there because of this pact they got with these spirits. Some people go through a spiritual psychosis. The ancestors take them through a spiritual psychosis until they get over there and get initiated. Them people want initiating just for a title. Hell no, them people was initiating to get their mind back. Okay, because their ancestors had took it from them and made them go over there and be initiated. Most of them initiations happen because of a spiritual crisis, not because nobody's looking for no title. It's because their ancestors ran their ass over there. I'm telling you, elders and ancestors, not no Google, not no book, not no AI. That's right, facts. That's how you gonna learn Obeah. And you will see a little bit of Obeah sprinkled out in some of our mysteries in the ATRs and the ADRs. Just a little bit of it, because again, you have the elemental spirits in there. You have the water spirits in there, fire spirits. You see a little bit of that. Obeah know how to work with all of them together because they have all the knowledge in them, and they come in contact with spirits that don't mess with no humans. And people don't even see. You can't even comprehend it. I don't even think I'm doing justice by talking about it. I really don't. I really don't think I don't, because I don't, because it's that deep. It's incomprehensible. Okay, and so you could think you're gonna follow go in there if you want to, but you're not gonna be able to master that without ancestral guidance or elder. Now your ancestors might teach you a little bit about that. You stay in hoodoo long enough and earn your stripes with these spirits and do what you're supposed to do. They'll probably give a little knowledge to you. Uh, you can work with some of your ancestors, such as Marie Laveau, Saint Cyprian, Pascal Randolph, uh, you know, Bishop Mason. You can believe me, you have these ancestors at your fingertips to work with and call on them and set up a table for them and work with them and call on them to help you. And again, you have to earn your trust with these spirits, because if you come with that fluff and you think you're gonna deceive and manipulate the spirit, you ain't doing them crossing yourself up and messing yourself up. My dad was the first person to tell me about fairies when I was younger. Elementals are definitely real. They are real. Okay, that we're using it all the time in hoodoo. We're using fire magic. We're using water spirits, fire spirits. What else are we using? Air spirits with our mouth. When we go to open our mouth, that's the breath. Okay, we're using air magic. Okay, we're using earth magic. We're using herbs. Okay, and spices. That's earth magic. We're using dirt, earth magic, stones, earth magic. We're using all these elementals in our magic. That's why we went over there in our community. I broke that all down to you. Now we putting it together again. And so you can see how you're using it in hoodoo. Now we're going directly into conjure and talking about conjure and all these different type of workings we do and how we use these elements in it. Okay, I'm gonna break it down to you because I want you to understand. Ain't gonna do me no good coming here and show you a spell or something. You don't know what the hell you looking at. You don't even know how it works. Okay, you need to know how to operate it. So we go into deep detail. So again, I kept y'all a long time. I'm gonna let you go. I just been running my mouth, but y'all know this my thing. But I'm gonna tell you right now, uh, Obeah, and I know you want to learn it because I want to learn it too. Because when I learned how powerful how it was, and how it was very successful in fighting oppression, I was like, oh my gosh, where is this? And I went down that road because the ancestors. You want to know something? The ancestors gonna show you. And I looked down and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is actually deeper than what I thought." The ancestor says, "Yes, this is very primitive knowledge. This is was in the first people that were born with the magic in them. And most of these people, they didn't know words. That's why you'll have different phrases that they can say, different sounds they can say. They make stuff happen. Okay, because that language that they're using is tied again to our first ancestors, where they could talk and stuff would happen. Okay, that's that kind of energy that they're dealing with, Obeah, and they're giving that type of knowledge. But again, these people have to work closely with the spirits, and they heart be right. Everybody can't do that type of work. Okay, you what they call in South Africa, you're a go-go. That means a feminine elder speaks through you. Is that what I am? Is that what I am? I don't know what it is, but I know the ancestors be telling me stuff. I don't know everything. I don't, but that's one thing I know. I know them ancestors ain't gonna steer you wrong, and that's exactly where I'm gonna take you to. Exactly. I'm a human. I can get it wrong, but I ain't. And it's not been a time that I follow the ancestors. It's been wrong, and I want you to see that for yourself. I don't want you following me. I don't want you following nobody else. I want you following your ancestors because they know better than anybody else about where you're going and where you need to be. That's it. Okay. And if a hoodoo practitioners is not telling you that, I don't know what to say about that. Because that's the first order here. Okay. That's the first order. And I'm gonna make sure you know that and get you right with talking to them and communicating with them so you can get your hoodoo going. Okay, that's the most important thing. You're welcome, Empress. That's the most important thing. It ain't gonna do me no good to show you now. Your ancestors, and they be showing you simple stuff. They show you some how to work with some salt, baby. You be working some magic, some hell of a magic with some salt. I've seen people come back to me and tell me they've been working with some. I said, "You was doing that with that?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh my gosh, these ancestors, they just show you. I ain't never heard nobody do nothing like that. Your ancestors show you how to do something with something simple, with some sugar. Have you working all types of magic with some sugar, just one herb, this one. It ain't hard. You see these people coming up here showing you all this complicated stuff. Your ancestors go tell you to do something simple and then be working and moving stuff. Don't be following these people up here. I'm telling you, you need to follow your ancestors. They have you be like, that's all I had to do? Yeah, that's all you had to do. When so and so told me to do that, your ancestor gonna say, child, I told you about listen to them folks. Didn't I tell you you need to be coming to this house to talk to a child? Don't be listening to them folks. Child, them folks don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. Well, K Avenue said, beautiful breakdown, Miss Penny. Don't get your spirit scammed out here. Y'all, it's not for play. I'm telling you, you better talk to them ancestors. That's what discerning and be discerning for. Because if you come over there with me, that's where I'm going. You're going to get mad at me because I'm not going to fall for it. Not now time. You're going to be trying. Well, Miss Penny, what I do? I'm going to say, did you ask your ancestors? Let's ask your ancestors. Then you come back and tell me. You come back, you go do a divination. I'm going to point you right there every time. You're going to hang on to them ancestors and make sure that that's who you're supposed to be following. You're going to get upset at me because I'm going to put your face in that every time. Miss Penny, what you think I should do? Did you ask your ancestors? I'm not your you gonna get me in trouble with them because they I don't even want that for you. You go talk to them. You know the answer. You know the answer. And you come back after you talk to them, and then we'll figure it out after you talk to them. Okay? Or you speak it, and it work. Don't have to burn a candle or nothing. That's how you have people out here. And sometimes you go to your ancestors, you don't even got to do no magic. You can go to them, and I have went to them and be like, I don't like what's going on with me, and they did this to me, and I didn't like the way. I be a big crybaby because I am a crybaby. I am a crybaby. I ain't gonna lie. I would cry. I would cry when my feelings is hurt. I go to the ancestors, and I. I'll crash out with them because they gonna love me regardless. I can hold my composure with people, but I know when I go to that altar, I can crash out. They're gonna love me unconditionally. They're gonna work with me. And when I that went to the altar, like I don't like what they done, and they hurt my feelings, ancestors. They made me want to do this, but I don't know if they mean it in a bad way. But if they mean it in a bad way, ancestors, I need you to take care of that for me. But if they don't, I forgive them. I forgive them. I talk to them just like this. But I just don't know. But I know my feelings was hurt. And they may not answer then. They let me have my little crash out. And then a week or so later, if that person was malicious and they hurt my feelings, just trying to be mean, I see it every time the ancestors do something with them. I ain't had to do work no pot. I ain't had to do nothing. Ancestors politely moved them out my way. Okay, that's usually what happens. And that's why I be wondering why everybody thinking they have to go do hexes and put people in a pot. Know what you need to go do and go do some character work and go to the altar and tell them ancestors how your feelings hurt. And if you need to pray about it, they'll tell you need to pray about it to heal. And if that person was not, they were trying to be mean to you, they'll politely move them on out your way. Okay. But don't that shouldn't be if your feelings hurt, the first thing you should do is be going there saying, my feelings hurt. This is what they did to me. And I know that my feelings hurt, so I don't want to do nothing right now. I just want to talk about what's going on with me and what happened to me. Okay? You won't have to do no all that stuff. That's why I trip out. You know, if you praying over yourself and saying your psalms and taking your bath, you ain't got to do all that stuff. And really, our feelings do be hurt. Ain't nothing wrong with crying. And if your feelings hurt, them spirits want to know that. They see you, okay, and you probably need to heal in something. Sometimes I went there, I said, I think it's my wounds. I think my ancestors told me sometimes, you got that problem with such. There ain't nothing wrong with them people. That's you. What? Yeah, you need to heal some more. Ain't nothing wrong with them damn people. That's you, girl. Get somewhere over there and do some journaling. Go read on this. Go do some work with your inner child. That's what's going on there. Them folks ain't nothing wrong with them folks. That is going on with you. They be like, for real? Yep. We got that problem. I pout, but I go ahead and do my work because I know they right. Okay. And some of y'all ain't got that kind of sense. Okay. But you need to be talking to them spirits, let them know when your feelings hurt and all that stuff. So you can try to figure yourself out. Okay. That ending on that note. And I've made this video to whoever that was in my I forgot his name. I don't know if it was Nathan. I don't think it was Nathan. I don't know if it's somebody else, honey. But every so often I get in somebody in my box to go by that video. And they look at my video and they think I know Obeah. I don't, beloved. I just know what the ancestors revealed to me. And you ain't gonna know it either. If you ain't right with these spirits and your ancestors, they just not gonna show you that type of knowledge because it's too powerful, you know. And you got them spirits got to trust you, and it takes a lot of devotion and commitment to spirit to get that type of knowledge out of them. They're just not gonna give it to you, and you don't think you're gonna go over there thinking you can deceive or manipulate a spirit. I done already told you they telepathically communicate with you, their consciousness, so they can see everything you thinking, your intentions, and all that. So you don't get yourself messed up. Think you gonna outwit them because you will not. You will mess yourself up. So don't do it. Okay. Yep, I kept trying to blame everyone around me. My ancestors were like, "Nice try, sister." That would get you right, and they do it such a nice way though. Cause I didn't have them tell me, "Yeah, you got that problem. You got a temper problem, right? You are, you be ready to put your hands on folks. That's their problem. Go and sit down, be quiet, journal about that, how you feel and why you feel the way you feel. Get that stuff up out of you. Usually, journaling has been a lot of way for me to purge a lot of that stuff in me. Is once you start writing and put it on paper, you start to purge a lot of that stuff. So they have me writing a lot. Okay. Especially, you got poor emotional regulation. You've been through trauma, so your emotions run higher than anyone else because your ancestors have went through so much. So when something happened to you, you're going to have a very intense response because you're carrying a lot of trauma. as well. You're gonna have exaggerated response because of all that stuff that happened to us. That's why getting uh, getting your nervous system under control and regulating that and getting your mind and stuff under control. So you don't understand what happened to us. They're gonna piss me off again. Because honey, every time I talk about what they know, and then they sit up there and they wrote them damn books about what happened to us, and they got us walking around here making us think that we's crazy. And y'all the very reason why we run around here sick and got all these illness and all this shit y'all did to our ancestors. And now you want to point the finger at us and look at them, look at them. No, you made us sick. Ancestors had to come up with Epsom salt baths and work with herbs and all this kind of stuff just to keep themselves well, and you still doing it. And the people don't even know. I'm getting mad again just thinking about it. I'm sorry. That's why I sit up and say it's closed. I said it's closed in a minute. Now you can't bring yourself over here and sit up here and make everybody sick, and then you want to sit up here and sit in front of us. And here we is trying to heal a whole damn nation of trauma. Are you crazy? Don't make no sense. My healing triggered. My husband healing. It's amazing once you go on this journey. It gets me mad too. Makes it upset sitting around here and then talking. Y'all overreacting. And hell, what are you talking about? You keep doing it. That's why I breaks it down and I show you they know that trauma is living in our body. They know that's why we have a lot of this stuff, these illnesses, psychosomatic illnesses and stuff that's going on with us. Because if that y'all wouldn't have did that to us, we wouldn't have this stuff going on. We need free health care for at least 6 or 7 generations. Should have free health care. Okay, that's just my opinion, and that's why I say it's closed. And I don't think you should be coming over here if you ain't got none of our ancestors in your blood. I don't want to see you over here looking at me while I'm trying to heal. I don't want to look at you. You go over there and heal your own folks. I don't try to be mean, but I remember. I don't forget. Okay, I don't forget. That's just how I feel about it. I ain't trying to be mean. Okay. I'm gonna let y'all go on and get some rest. I know it's 2 o'clock in the morning there. I'll be meeting with you tomorrow evening, your precious Emerald. I'm gonna message you first before we go live so I can bring you on in, okay?